And we are about to do a Spider-Man No Way Home watch party. Tom Holland, and again, I'm not going to do all the spoilers right now. We're going to have a spoiler review. We're going to do the intro. It's been a while. This is our last show of the year. Thank you for joining us. Stick around. We will be right back. And welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. This is a special Spider-Man No Way From Home movie review. We're going deep dive on this. With us today, we have Kenny.
Hey.
We have Logan.
Hello.
And we have Ramon.
Just call me Peter Parker.
Theater Parker? Or what was it?
Just call me Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. So now we have 4 of them. And that will let you know right up front that we're going to be talking spoilers out of the wazoo. For whatever the internet has not already spoiled for you, we're going to do it a little more and just go into a deep dive. I did a whole bunch of the beats, and I just wanted to go through a few of them. Now, unfortunately, Logan has other responsibilities in his life, so he was not able to see it. So we're going to spoil the heck out of it for him. And again, just be warned that we're going to touch base on a lot of different things here. So if you have not seen it, go see it and come back. And we'll spoil it again for you. Gentlemen, this is our last show of the year.
And we're ending with a great note.
Exactly. So let's, first, give thoughts. Did we like this or was this movie trash?
Oh, come on.
Trash.
I'm disowning you all.
I did not like it. I loved it.
Yeah. No, it was a phenomenal movie.
I would say this is probably it's easily the top 10 Marvel movies. Definitely the best Tom Holland Spider-Man.
It's the best Sony movie ever.
Oh, the best Sony movie? Yeah.
Best Sony movie ever.
We're not even talking just period. Like Sony made movie, end of story.
I agree.
I don't know the Sony library that much off my head, so I'm just going to agree with Logan.
Let me just
Logan typically knows those
double checking now, but
let me just give you one. Venom. Let me give you 2. Venom 2. So
Oof.
So
don't you dare put this in the same scale.
I'm just giving you a feel for Sony, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. This is a real site. Maybe.
Yeah, Logan's pulling up the stats. He's doing the math. He is the data, if you will, of this enterprise.
I'll do what I can do this time. So according to this particular one, the top 2 Sony movies ever were both Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Wow. That either says a lot about Spider-Man or very little about Sony.
Yeah.
And then rounding out the top 5 goes Skyfall, the first remake of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all those movies have been recent. That's how
I actually like the new. I actually like the newer Jumanji movies with they've been good. The Rock and Kevin Hart. I was really caught off guard. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you know what? I not to make this a free for all, but I like that one too. Danny DeVito, Kevin Hart, The Rock.
Oh my gosh, man.
Aquafina.
Yeah.
But anyway, reeling it back in to the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Tom Holland.
Yep.
I would say has nailed this young Peter Parker to a T.
Yes.
I would put him, to go back in history in the same level as Michael J. Fox at his peak with the Back to the Future franchise.
Yeah.
One of those, short, eternally young looking actors that they can string out his high school career for like 6 years or however long it took, and he's still relatively young. So that was a good, I think, investment on Sony and Marvel, saying, he'll be a young Peter Parker for like 20 years. So
he could.
Only Michael J. Fox doesn't have an English accent.
Well, he's not English. That's
Yeah.
the bonus.
that is
there.
true.
So that gives that gives to that
Tom Holland.
brings Tom Holland to a whole new level. You wouldn't even know that he's British.
No, he does a good Queen's accent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will give it to him. And again, let's just quick go through the cast. So you had Tom Holland, Zendaya as MJ, Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie as in Doctor Strange. I will say has the worst wig I have ever seen in a series. And what's really funny is I saw him in this is hilarious. I saw him in a skit online today. He was on Jimmy Kimmel, and he was playing like it was like a skit where he was he showed up at Jimmy Kimmel's house to do some mystic arts, and it turned out it was a birthday party. And Jimmy Kimmel's like, hey, your LinkedIn said you're the best magician ever, so come on, make with the magic. And but he had better hair in that skit than he does in this movie.
Is it bad that I didn't pay attention to that at all?
Yeah, well, you just enjoy the film. You enjoy the film. I go at these things with a scalpel.
Well, the whole thing with him floating down and then almost slipping in the ice. That I didn't pay attention to hair. That was funny. That was
funny.
That was good, and obviously that was intentional. Maybe it happened by accident the first time, but they're not going to put him at risk just dumping him on some ice. Also, Jon Favreau reprised his role as Happy. And let's talk about the cast of villains. Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Yep.
Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin.
Yes.
Alfred Molina as Doc Ock from the awesome Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Benedict Wong made a cameo because he's with Doctor Strange.
Nice.
Marissa Tomei as Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is it will go through a lot of these on the beats, but what's funny is they barely even have him in here. Sandman, the guy who played Sandman.
From Wings.
Hayden Church
from Wings, but
Hayden Church. Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church. Yep.
Yeah, and for the artistic cinephiles, he was also in Sideways with Paul Giamatti.
What's his name that played that was the lizard? Reese. Is it Ifan? How you say his last name?
I'm
going to give that to you. Yeah.
From Amazing Spider-Man.
From Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but the thing about it is, though, I think they kept Sandman and the Lizard the way they are because I think they're trying to skimp on a little bit on the deep fake. They're trying to dedicate everything to Doc Ock and William Dafoe.
So Willem, actually, I did not. I mean, Willem Dafoe looked old. I mean,
well, he's 66 years old.
Yeah, so he didn't. I don't think they de-aged him. I mean, I think they kept him. They might have a little bit, but I actually really liked him, being who he was.
Let me jump back to what Ramon said. Here's something, and it may not have been widely advertised, but the Lizard and Sandman were never physically on the set. All the work they did was voice work.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of noticed that, especially when Sandman was reverted back to and so is the Lizard. They basically took shots from the other movies and just put it right there. I know because I've seen those movies so many times. I know what it looks like.
Yep.
They're cutaways from the different movies.
They reused the footage of them transforming. I think honestly they may have just even reversed it.
Yeah.
Yep. And because once they Logan, sorry buddy, but once they change them back, there's no dialogue.
Yes, exactly.
Say anything. They're just
and the Lizard, that was the actual scene from when he got hit by the mist.
Yeah,
I was going like.
They spliced in old footage because I don't know. I'm assuming they did voiceover. I mean, they did the they did the voice, but through the entire movie, you only see Sandman in his sand form,
and
and
the lizard in his
lizard form. So it wouldn't have taken much. But then again, who knows how they've aged as well in all these years. But yeah, let's break open some beats. I'm glad we all liked it. I thought it was an amazing film. And I'm going to go this as the film progresses. So it picks up where Peter Parker had been outed by J. Jonah Jameson, and
He was
he was outed by Mysterio.
Yeah,
Mysterio. I'm sorry, Mysterio on the J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, he was
he picked it up and ran with it.
I called it the WTF moment.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is Jonah Jameson. Let's be frank, they're making him Alex Jones. That's literally what they're doing. He even sells supplements on his show, and he's doing it behind a green screen in a basement.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I loved that.
Yeah, so they portrayed him as basically, what the equivalent of an internet,
Alex Jones type. Yeah, that's perfect. That's a great analogy, Julian.
Yeah, well, I mean, the supplement. And also you can hear it in the inflection of his voice, because he was always angry, but he has that, and everybody knows what he sound. Alex Jones sounds like. He's like that gruff, talking really loud, and that for some reason. And then as soon as he said, "And don't forget to buy these alpha male supplements," and I was like, okay, yeah, that's a little too on the nose. So,
and the good thing about J. Jonah Jameson's, like in 1993 or 2020, J. Jonah Jameson, you don't need deepfake. He's J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah,
anytime, anywhere. I don't care if he's young, old, or even if.
Yeah, he will always be J. Jonah Jameson to me.
Yeah,
love
exactly. And he did a great role, reprising that. And so Peter Parker was outed as Spider-Man, and right out of the gate, that's where it picks up, and people start swarming Mary J, say, Spider-Man, and then he comes and rescues, and they run off, and Spider-Man Peter Parker starts to see the ramifications of people in his life being associated with Spider-Man. They were trying to get into MIT, and they all got rejected because Spider-Man's apparently a killer who killed Mysterio, according to J. Jonah Jameson. So that was problematic, and this is the only part I'm not spoiling. So Peter Parker went to Doctor Strange to reverse, or to cast a memory spell where nobody could remember that he was Spider-Man, which is what you do, I guess. And like Ramon was talking about, the whole house was in snow,
covered in ice.
Yeah, and that really didn't have anything to do with the plot.
Well, it kind of somewhat did, because remember, he was going like, that was how they revealed that Wong is the actual now Sorcerer Supreme, because of Doctor Strange's 5-year absence during the blip.
Yeah, that's true.
Wong got it on a technicality.
Yeah, he got it on a technicality.
Yeah, Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme because Doctor Strange was gone for 5 years. So yeah, I mean, he got it by default. But
so
the reason there was snow in the house, just to be clear, the reason there was snow is because one of the doors to the Himalayas blew open, and all the snow came.
No, it was left open.
They couldn't reseal it.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was left open, and Doctor Strange is blaming Wong, and Wong was basically saying, "You know what? I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. That's not my job anymore."
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah, I mean, it was a throwaway. I mean, they didn't have to do it.
No,
I guess.
But I think it was funny. I think that was a very funny scene.
It was, and like I said, you get to see Benedict Cumberbatch with a awful. It was almost like, and I'm gonna go back in time for a lot of people here, in the Brady Bunch, where it was Halloween, and Peter Brady had a Dracula costume, and he had to keep jumping in and out of costumes when he was going. I think he had 2 dates. He double dated, not with somebody else. He double booked on dating, and he kept running from one room to the other, and he kept jumping in and out of his vampire costume. And that hair that he had, it was just like a plastic rubber cap. That's the Doctor Strange hair that I saw. And in the replay of this, I'll put a graphic up showing how horrible that looked, and you be the judge. But so he goes and he makes the wish, as the trailer reveals. And but what's funny is Doc Ock says, no, when he starts to try to make the wish, but Peter Parker won't shut up. He's like, "Ooh, Ned needs to know. Oh, what about Aunt May? She needs to know." And MJ, they only, and so he totally starts botching the spell. And at the last minute, he contains the spell in like a mystic, box that,
after it started getting out of hand.
Yeah, exactly. Because the I guess spells do that. They start to just lose control and go crazy,
like an untrained house pet.
Yeah, exactly. It started going crazy. So he confined the spell before it could take root, but apparently not quick enough because it started to allow some people through. And as everybody knows, the people that knew who Peter Parker was in alternate universes started coming into this one. Not all of them, but just some of them. And Doctor Strange said, "We can't do it. This is a bad idea. And if you tried, if you spoke to MIT and they said no, and then you followed up with them and they refused your follow up," and he's like, "Follow up? You mean I could have just called them?"
Yeah.
And Dr.
Strange is like, "You mean to tell me that before you even called the college, your first thought was come to the Sorcerer Supreme to have him
erase everyone's memory,
make a spell to make everyone forget you when you could have called?" He's like, "I didn't know I could call."
Yeah, I got a letter. I thought that was it. So he did. Yeah, he never even followed up with the college. But that's an excellent point. He makes a lot of dumb teenager mistakes.
But he's like the smartest teenager on the planet.
But even
is he?
He is.
Well, he's smart. I mean, he's like MIT smart. I mean,
but here's the thing, right? Like that's the way it's always been in the really great Spider-Man comics. That's how he is portrayed, right? He is brilliant in academics, but he is very immature, and he still like thinks like a teenager, and he like is very socially awkward. And I love that they are able to write that so well, and Tom Holland pulls it off very well.
Yeah, book smart, and street lucky.
Yeah,
exactly. And luckily, so that being said, he makes a teenage move where he asks Dr. Strange. Dr. Strange says, "No, just go talk to MIT. Ask them." Ask him if they can let you in. Do a little legwork. So he catches the dean of admissions on the freeway, and that's where you see the trailer scene where Doc Ock makes his reveal. And Logan, when you see it, I mean, Alfred doesn't look like he aged a bit.
Well,
it looks good from the trailers.
I think they de-aged Alfred Molina.
Well, speaking of
they do it well. They do it well. That's fine, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of reveals, I mean, this is how great it is. I mean, it's these like the surprise reveals. I could hear the people like gasping around me, and like when the first Peter Parker, Andrew,
wait a second.
They were literally, woo. They were like, woo. I can hear that from around me, and you know what? There's several woo moments when Andrew Garfield showed up. When Tobey Maguire showed up, when what do you call this? What's the guy? Daredevil.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So we're just going through all your beats.
Well, yeah, you did leave that one out. Sorry, Logan.
I
already knew.
Sorry.
Logan's
already knew
all of the spoilers.
Yeah.
Look, the thing about these kind of movies is just like, unless you're going to see them that weekend, just forget it.
So
it's just not a thing.
Speaking of the
so I had already known about all of those. There's nothing that surprised me yet.
Speaking of the Matt Murdock scene, because that's earlier, right?
Charlie Cox.
That is before he goes to Doctor Strange.
Yes, that was before he goes to Doctor Strange.
Skipped over that one, Julian.
No, I didn't, and it's not.
It's not.
No. Remember, he had a lawyer. That's when he was lawyering up. When Daredevil catches the brick that went through the window. That was Oh, you're right. That was
I
after.
thought that was before the
It was
college
before.
admissions.
No, it's
I'm gonna
before
side with the guy who's seen it 3 times. That's just me.
Well,
So-
let me put it this way. It was all this was happening at the same time. And yeah, I didn't forget about that. I was gonna, put it on my list. But yes.
Oh, did I spoil your spoiler?
What's that?
Did I spoil your spoiler?
Yes.
Spoiled spoilers.
A few of them, but it's okay. Yes. Yes. After everybody finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, basically he's under siege because everybody knows it. And Logan, I think I even predicted this.
Mhm.
When I was talking about, he's going to need some legal representation.
Yep.
Yes, you did.
That was a perfect
I
spot for
remember
him.
that. I was
Yes.
actually watching out for it
Yes.
because you mentioned about Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Well, we were looking at the
Mike-
trailers, being like, "Is that Charlie Cox's wrist? I think that's his wrist."
Yeah.
Like,
And what Logan, when you see it, that one
Yeah.
scene where he escapes with, and you're 100% right, guys. I apologize. This was before he went to Strange, because he grabs MJ and takes off, and then makes it to his house, goes in the window, and then they're kind of hiding out because the press and the media are and the paparazzi are all around. And what is hilarious is, you'll appreciate this, Logan. They do that entire scene
mhm.
in one take, where
Oh,
he
love
goes in. He goes in the apartment
Mhm.
and he's running around. He's shutting windows. He's even doing it with like his webs, like shutting windows and sealing them. And it had to have been like a good 90-second one shot take,
Mhm.
where the camera's just pivoting around and everybody's running around in chaos and stuff like that. So
Nice.
be sure and look for that when you're
very
seeing
much
it.
so. Yes.
Yeah. And then they did cut to
They arrested him. It was like the new.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yes.
Shield or whatever it is.
No, it wasn't Shield, but it was one of those names. It was the same
Sword?
people that cleaned up when there was that devastation in New York. And
Sword.
and
No, that
Well,
was,
no. It had nothing to do with Sword or Shield. It was literally like a police organization.
I can't remember. But they're like a Shield type organization.
Yeah, but it's a different name. But they basically they were in one of the earlier Spider-Man when everything falls apart. They're the ones that kind of show up and clean up and do all the
oh,
people.
this is the one that what do you call it? Tony Stark, the people that Tony Stark works with, or
I
is it?
think so.
Yeah, because there's like a couple people.
but they,
These are the people that own the storage place with all
They
the.
come-
the
But anyway,
alien
they
stuff.
arrest. I know they come and they arrest. They arrest all of them actually. They arrest Spider-Man. They arrest Aunt May. They arrest Happy. They arrest MJ. They arrest Ned.
Mhm.
And that was actually a really cool, because it was interesting to see like how each one of them was getting like kind of interrogated. And like Ned, of course, Ned just like
Totally.
is just so like
caves.
he gives up everything.
He folded under questioning, but not in a betrayal way. They tricked him. They said,
Yeah,
"Oh, so you didn't know anything about this." He goes, "No, that was my idea.
yeah.
I'm the one that told him to go into space."
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And he goes, "Oh, so while Spider-Man was doing all his felonies, you were the main accomplice."
Yeah. And then Ned's like, "Oh, hang on. I need a lawyer."
Exactly.
But then after that, yeah, they cut to that they've been released, and then yeah, all of a sudden it camera pans. They're in Aunt May's kitchen, and the camera pans
To Matt Murdock.
with Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, saying,
It's kind of interesting because
I
Charlie
feel
Cox
like
is
it
on
was
my
like a throwaway, but I'm hoping it's like hinting at further involvement. Because he's nowhere in the rest of the movie.
yeah.
Spoiler.
Well, the thing about it is okay. So now we have you have Sony working with Marvel Studios working with Sony and all that stuff. Now they're pulling in Netflix. And the thing about it is what's his name? Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he is now. He was in Hawkeye.
Yep.
The actual Kingpin. So I'm going like, whoa, is like Netflix being taken over by Sony or Disney or what the heck is going on?
I think they see the profit and they're like, yeah, we'll make it work. And yeah, I found out the name of the police organization. You're going to love this. It's the Department of Damage Control.
Yes,
that's the
right.
name.
Department of Damage Control.
Yeah. And before they were in they were in another film where they
they're similar to first one, Spider-Man Homecoming, wasn't it?
I think so, because
they came in and kicked out
Birdman.
The Vulture.
Vulture.
Michael Keaton's character. Him and his construction crew were cleaning up, and then the Department of Damage Control came in and took over the scene.
Exactly. So that's who it was. The Department of Damage Control take him up, interrogate him, then they get a lawyer after the fact, and it is.
I love that. I love that little scene though, because the brick that comes through the window.
Yeah, and he catches it.
Like catches it, and he goes, "How the hell did you do that?" And he's like, "I'm a good lawyer."
Yeah. You'll like the timing of that, Logan, when you see it.
That's awesome.
And it actually had a benefit. I mean, I sort of like watched first 3 episodes of Daredevil, but after that, I just started binge watching.
I mean, that was the best one of all of the ones they had. But look, I think Disney's got it right there in that you take the absolute, unequivocal stars. The people who made the impact, the characters who made the impact, the people who made the characters their own. I mean, Charlie Cox lost auditions for other, movies and shows because he was so focused on not looking at things as Daredevil. He wasn't looking where he was supposed to be looking when he was supposed to be looking at people or the camera. Like he was that committed to the role when he was doing it. So you take him, you take Vincent D'Onofrio. I wouldn't mind also seeing Colleen Wing making an appearance. I thought she was the only saving grace in Iron Fist. Yes. Mike Coulter was fine. I could take him or leave him as the character, but to bring in Rosario Dawson, she's already in the House of Marvel.
Yeah.
You might as well bring her in here too, and actually develop that night nurse character that she was supposed to be a little bit more. Like, take the good things that were there. Netflix was kind of your,
John Bernthal as the Punisher.
There you go.
I still don't know how you do the Punisher in Disney.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen, but supposedly they've announced that the next Deadpool is going to be in the MCU and will be a rated R movie.
I had not seen that.
I have seen that multiple times now pop up. So I'm gonna dig into that to see if it's coming from true sources.
That would be wildly interesting.
Several times that the next Deadpool has been announced that it will be in the MCU and that it will be an R-rated movie.
I think I heard that too. I mean, now don't get me wrong. Obviously, it will not have the big Disney insignia on it. It'll be, Marvel, but I mean, come on, as soon as they saw the box office, they were like,
absolutely.
And if they can do that, then you could pull in the Punisher from the Netflix.
Yeah,
that would be a good way to link him in.
Yeah, I would say that the Punisher in Netflix has the best Punisher. I mean, he was so good in that role.
John Bernthal was amazing. There's no question.
He is amazing. I mean, of all the Punishers, he's probably best suited for this.
Would Deborah Ann Woll?
I liked her
because she was also in pretty much all of the series.
I liked her in Punisher.
Yeah.
She grew on me in Daredevil, but not as much. I think probably just because of the star power of the other characters. But in Punisher, I definitely liked her a lot more in her just kind of relationship and handling. And she could be a very, very interesting addition.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. She could write a story on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to Spider-Man.
There you go.
And just to bring back this whole observation about Logan's observation about Charlie Cox, he's not just a great actor. I mean, I saw him in Stardust, and It's like it was like a huge leap. I mean, even the voice. Is different. The way he did Stardust and the way he did Daredevil, I was going like, dang.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Guess where you didn't
actor?
realize you just saw him?
Where?
Downton Abbey.
I saw
Really?
him, yeah. I saw him in the first episode. Yeah.
Go back and watch it.
I gotta
Who's that?
watch it.
Charlie Cox in
He was
Downton Abbey.
he was like the high up that the guy was he was the guy that was having an affair with the other guy.
Something like that.
Oh, you're talking about the not the Persian
Not
prince.
the prince that died.
Not the Persian prince, no.
No,
That was James Theo from the Divergent series.
Okay.
Listen, I only saw one episode of Downton Abbey, so it was the first episode, and
And I'm looking now.
Oh,
'cause-
and there you go too. He's another Brit, Charlie Cox, by the way,
oh yeah,
born in London.
yeah.
I gotta check and see because I don't
the
remember.
Duke of Crowborough.
There you go. Yeah, he was the Duke.
I got
Yeah, episode literally the first episode.
Yeah.
1-1.
Dang, he's a good actor.
Yes. Now let me reel back in a little bit. I mean, I know we're all Cox fans, boys here, but let's
Whoa!
let's
Yeah.
You went there. Okay, it's
with an X, Cox with an X. Yes. Thank you.
Would Captain America say
doesn't make
language?
it
It doesn't make it any better.
moving on.
Enough of this talk about no, I'm not going to go there. Okay, so Av on the bridge scene, which is awesome because Molina makes his debut and he's like, "Hello, Peter," and he's fighting him, and then he tries to stab him. Now Peter's still wearing his Stark Tech nano suit, and he tries to stab him. The nanites get on Doc Ock's arm, and he's
Funny,
able
by
to,
the way, pairing.
No, but Doc Ock is able to bond. Like they bond to his
the nanites take over and they're master to his arms. So
until Peter started pairing his arms and then taking control. Did you see that scene where basically a device detected and then pairing?
Mhm.
And then now Peter has
unsecured
control over
Bluetooth passwords.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, basically, as soon as the nanites got on his arms, he just synced up with it, and now he controls it. So he's doing like this and controlling the arms like a puppet.
But before that, it was a really great fight scene between Spider-Man, because even Peter with the advanced Tony Stark nanite suit was getting his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the funny thing is he was getting crushed in between a lot of stuff, but I think the suit protected him to a point where he wasn't really damaged because it was.
But he was getting his butt kicked.
It was a really good suit.
Well, you have to realize he's also getting his butt kicked because he was trying to protect everyone else on that bridge.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. He wasn't trying to fight. He was literally trying to save the
admissions lady for MIT.
There you go. And all right, so he basically takes over the suit, takes over the arms of Doc Ock, and all of a sudden, you hear that laughter, and you see the bomb that's in the trailer, and Green Goblin appears, and awesome scene. All of a sudden, you get the portal, the sling portal, and all
of a sudden, and Peter,
Doc Ock and Spider-Man end up in Doctor Strange's
the Sanctum
Sanctorium in the basement, and it's hilarious because he's like apparently some of these guys got through because you messed up my spell, blah blah blah. So now Doc says what you need to do is go get the rest of these guys that slipped through. And one of the funniest lines, I'll let you say it. Kenny, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, you said Doc Ock, and Doctor Strange is the one asking him to go get the other.
Right. Doctor Strange is, but he has one of the funniest lines. He says, "There's all these other life forms that I detected." By the way, Doctor Strange found the lizard and put him in. He has like these. It's almost like a zoo prison in his basement and protected by magic walls.
Don't we all?
Yeah, exactly. It's I have a well in my basement. That's how I capture people. But
Well, I do have a
anyway,
question about the whole thing about everyone being there that knows Peter Parker. Does I and refresh my memory from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Does did Electro, what's his name?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. Did he know
Yeah.
Spider-Man
No.
was Peter Parker?
I'm glad you
Then why
brought
is
that
he
up.
there?
I'm glad you brought that up. Doctor Strange was wrong. That's the short answer. Is that's
Okay.
what he thought, but he was wrong. It's not everybody that knew he was Peter Parker.
I thought Jamie Foxx did. I thought his character did.
No, because when
I
at the
could've
end he was
sworn
going like
I could have sworn Andrew Garfield took his mask off.
he
in
took his
front of-
mask off in No Way Home, and then what do you call it? Jamie Foxx just
You're-
goes like, "Oh, I always thought you were black," something like that. And then that was the whole
Oh, that's right.
what do you call this thing? That was the whole I guess it's their way of trying to get Miles Morales into the whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're jumping a little
Anyway.
ahead.
Sorry
We're
about that.
talking
Sorry,
about
I'm spoiling
funny-
your spoiler again.
Funniest line.
Yeah,
Huh?
it was a funny line. I'm gonna say it again when we get there. Okay, so now they're basically hunting the villains.
No,
We
no,
have
I meant the funniest line when he tells him he has to round up all these characters.
Oh, Scooby Doo! This
Oh yeah. I forgot about that line.
well, the one thing I think you're wanting to say, Kenny, is Spider-Man said, I saw another one on the bridge. He looked like a green elf, which was the Goblin, because he doesn't know who the Goblin is. So he said, yeah, he's like a flying green elf. And Doctor Strange says, oh, he sounds jolly. Why don't you start with? So now Peter's like hunting for the other ones. Now we have the Lizard who's been locked up. We have Doc Ock who's locked up, and so he's hunting for whoever else is out there. And he goes out and here's funny, and this is a brilliant way they worked it in. Logan, they did a lot of fan service. Now Spider-Man has a not the Venom black suit, but an actual like black suit with gold trim.
They tried to do versions of that in the earlier ones. But yeah.
And you know the reason why, right?
No, I'll let you say it. Ron, go ahead.
So the reason why it was like Peter Parker got green gook all over his suit from people who are like protesting him because he
got slimed.
He got slimed by people protesting because of what happened to Mysterio.
Was
So
it
he
a
can
Nickelodeon
get
show.
Yeah, well,
Like-
like a
green
a PETA person would throw paint on somebody. They threw like this green paint on him because out of protest.
And he couldn't get the green stuff off. So guess what he does? He wears the suit backwards.
Inside out.
Inside out.
Inside out. So that's the reason why it's black with gold trimmings. The gold trimmings are actually the wiring of the suit.
Yeah.
Good nod.
So when you get up close, you see like wires hanging off and stuff, but it looks like his black and gold comic suit from the comics and I'm sure the video games. But
that was a smart way of working it in, by the way.
It was. It reminded me of when Deadpool in the second one. Was it the second one? Jeez. Where at the very end he gets blasted with fire from Fire Fist.
Yes, and he's all covered in soot, and it looks like the X-Force gray suited Deadpool.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's a wink and a nod, and but he goes out and he's trying to find out, he like where this other force is that is in out that he brought in, and he sees Electro starting to materialize. And then all of a sudden, Sandman shows up, and he's like, "Peter, it's me." Because apparently they made peace at the end, and I forgot this completely. They made peace at the end of Spider-Man.
Yes, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, so he was like that. He was working with Spider-Man to capture Electro, and Spider-Man. Oh, and I'm sorry, forgive me. Doctor Strange gave Peter Parker like a magic web slinger that anything he shot with a certain kind of web would teleport them to the jail cell because laser writing. And that's, so he got them, boom, they're all in the thing, except for Goblin. And Oh no! Remember, there was a funny line when Jamie Foxx totally materializes and they like take his power source away. He falls to the ground and he's au natural, if you will, and he doesn't look like the Jamie Foxx from the Andrew Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have like the comb over and then the overbite. He's got he looks like Jamie Foxx suave, and apparently in the different universes you just look different and.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so
what do you recognize? He's like, I like the way I look here.
Yeah, exactly. He's looking in the mirror like, yeah, I like this. But remember what he said as soon as they got him, because he's like just naked. He goes, "So y'all are gonna just pretend that I'm not butt ass naked out here?" And,
yeah.
Jamie Foxx got off some good lines. I mean, I know some of them were scripted, but he delivered them, in pure Jamie Foxx fashion. So boom, boom, boom. They get them all down there. And here's where the turn is, where you see in the trailer where he's actually fighting Doctor Strange. But I'll give you the setup as to why. Doctor Strange says, when they're all in prison there and they're downstairs and what's funny, and it's really cool because a lot of them know each other from their own universes. I mean, Doc Ock knows Goblin. No, they did catch Goblin. That's right. Goblin turned himself into Aunt May because he was just confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Yeah. So they didn't capture him. He basically, was just like wandering the streets as Norman Osborn. And he met Aunt May, and Aunt May runs like a shelter. And so they're all down there. They've got all the Pokemon, if you will. and it's funny because you see them interacting because Jamie Foxx knows the Lizard and Doc Ock knows Green Goblin because they're from those other franchises. And I love
Sandman knows like he knows some of them that they die.
Yes.
And that's where
no, you're 100% right. It's hilarious because Doc Ock says to Osborn, "What are you doing? You're dead. What are you doing here?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I'm right. He goes, and then Sandman goes, "No, both of you are dead. Both of you died fighting Spider-Man."
Mm-hmm.
And everybody starts to freak out because it's funny. As Jamie Foxx says, "I wasn't about to die. I was kicking his. I was in the grid. I was collecting data, and I was about to. Oh, he was about to kill me." That's the Jamie Foxx delivery, and they understand that. Doctor Strange says, "Okay, I found a way. I got this magic box that'll collapse and destroy the spell. They can all go back where they came from." And they realize is if they go back to the moment they were picked up, they were all about to die. So,
Interesting.
Yeah, and so Peter Parker, because I'm sorry, go ahead, Ramon.
And just this precursor to that, Peter Parker made a promise to Aunt May that he's going to help out. What do you call this? Osborn get back to his universe safe.
Mm-hmm.
So Osborn was pleading for help. So this is one of the things that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I liked is that's basically how like the Goblin introduced. He comes in to fight, and then the next time you see him, he's basically like Norman Osborn fighting himself. Like having the mental argument with the Goblin, and Norman's like, "I don't want to do this anymore," and destroys the Goblin helmet. And,
we don't know if that was part of his tactic. That's the thing.
I don't think it was. I think he was having problems because remember in Spider-Man 1 where he was having this mirror conversation with himself.
Yes, but when he basically, when he basically turned back to the Goblin, I was going like, oh, did he turn back, or was this all just scheming? The whole thing.
He says well, there's a line the Goblin said. He's like, "You really think I would let you, I would let him get rid of me?"
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and he said, "I've been watching you behind his cowardly eyes." So yeah, he was there. It was associated.
I loved it. Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors, and he pulled off that dual personality so well throughout the whole movie.
It was like associative identity disorder, and he pulled it off very well. And little trivia, he said he wouldn't do the movie if he couldn't do his own stunts.
Yep.
And again, he's 66 years old, so
That
Good
gives
movie.
me good feelings about Boondock Saints 3. That's all I got to say
Mhm.
about that.
Is that definitely coming out?
It's it's Boondock Saints. You can't really say definitely anything
Yeah.
until it's out. But supposedly with Norman Reedus's, other preoccupations ending, it's hotter than it was before.
And don't forget, he was also in John Wick for a little bit. Didn't do a lot of. Willem Dafoe was in John Wick, but
tangentially, that's another movie we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Matrix 4.
yeah,
Another time.
yeah.
time. I'm not going to hijack this, but
yes, that's another
on the list.
conversation. Yeah. So he caught all the people, and then Doctor Strange says, "Okay, I'm going to send him back." And they're saying, "Wait a second! If you send us back, we're going to die because that's when we all got pulled in." So Spider-Man says, "We can't do that. We got to help." To your point, he promised Aunt May that he would try and help them. It was his response. It was his duty to do so because they help. They help when they can. And Doctor Strange is about to like close the spell and just send them all back. Where Spider-Man takes the spell from him.
Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say what convinced Peter to help them is Aunt May finally said the line.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
Yes, it was.
No, please, no. We'll get there. I know what you're saying. That did not happen yet. That did not happen. Trust me. 3 times. I've seen it 3 times.
All right,
we'll get there. So when Norman Osborn was at the shelter, Aunt May said he's lost and in more than his mind. And Peter Parker's like, it's not my responsibility. He goes, no, you need to help him. That's what she said. I know what you're saying. We'll get there. Trust me. On my word, we'll get there. So he helps them by taking the spell, and Doctor Strange and him have kind of like this funny, back and forth trying, Spider's trying to get away. Doctor Strange chasing him. Doctor Strange throws him in the mirror dimension. And one thing real quick, he does that soul punch, which you see in the trailer.
Oh yeah,
taking Peter Parker to Spider-Man.
That was funny.
Oh my god,
that was funny. Basically, he goes into his astral projection self, but his body still responds to him. It's
so
like
Strange is trying to nab the box from Spider-Man,
and
but
his
Spider-Man's
body
arms are moving. Peter's out of his body, and it's just Spider-Man doing his own thing, like
that's
like
fun.
a Sixth Sense kind of thing.
His body's
hilarious.
It's like a chicken with its head cut off.
Awesome.
Strange is like, will you stop doing that?
Yeah, he's like, you shouldn't be able to do that because he's like 10 feet away in the spirit realm, and his body, it's weird looking too because his body's just kind of laying there limp, and his hand is like, nope.
It's great.
It is great.
This actually reminded me of the scene in I think it's Stardust when the witch was trying to get what do you call this, one of the characters to do a sword fight using a voodoo doll, and it was so great because she was manipulating the doll, and the guy, I can't remember who the actor was, but the guy was really he was limp, but he's like maneuvering his sword so well. It was just amazing it was just funny and amazing to watch, and this kind of reminded me of that. Anyway, back to I didn't spoil anything, right?
No, you're gold. And again, so here's a good thing, and this is for math nerds out there all across the world, because when Doctor Strange throws him in the spider dimension, guys, remember
Mirror dimension.
Mirror vision. Yes, thank you. What does he do, Kenny?
Spider-Man?
Yes.
He basically, after they've been fighting for a minute, Spider-Man finally realizes, as he's looking around, that it's basically geometry. And he starts like
calculating.
Basically calculating geometry because he's smart at math, and he basically beats Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension with math.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
He starts shooting his web off of different directions, and it all lands in Doctor Strange's arms and legs.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
Yeah,
And then he comes back. He goes like, "I just beat Doctor Strange. I just beat Doctor Strange."
He's like, "Yeah, I just got to fight. I totally beat." So yeah, it was good. It was a good scene. So now that Spider-Man has he basically webbed up Doctor Strange and left him in the mirror dimension, and he gets the villains and says, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna cure you. I'm gonna fix what happened." And so he takes them all to Happy's apartment to cure them. And Doc Ock is just grumpy and surly the entire time. He goes, what are you going to do? Fix us a burrito in this apartment? This isn't a lab. It just hilarious. And so that's he basically is trying to cure them, but and stop me if I'm wrong, guys. When they start, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Tom Holland. Jeez, it's getting confusing to keep track of them. So Tom Holland, fixes the inhibitor in Doc Ock's suit that was making the arms control him instead of the other way around.
And he's using the 3D printer that was used to print out his old uniform.
Yes, Tony
uniform.
Yeah. Happy had Tony's fabricator in his condo.
Well, I call it 3D printer. It's like
yeah. Well, so he fixes Doc Ock, and Doc Ock, and here's one of the scenes you guys are talking about. Doc Ock says to Norman or Ramon, "This is what Kenny was talking about that kind of proves." Because once he fixes Doc Ock, the rest of them are there in the apartment, and Doc Ock says to because Peter Parker says, "Okay, you're next, Green Goblin. We're gonna, Osborn, we're gonna cure you." And Doc Ock says to him, "Isn't this great? You're gonna be whole again. No more dark half." And you see just the back of Willem Dafoe's head, and then he turns around and he smiles and goes, "Yeah." That little beat that something's about to go off.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a very cool scene. All of a sudden, they're Peter's working on some stuff, and he gets the
spider sense.
He started so he has started to help Jamie Foxx's character.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Jamie Foxx part.
Yeah, so he's detecting a new source of energy he's never felt before, and what he was detecting was the arc reactor from the fabricator.
Yeah,
the arc.
Yeah.
And I apologize. Wait, I'm sorry. After he fixed Doc Ock, he went to Electro and he created a damper that would take the electricity out of Jamie Foxx, keeping him like at a normal level. And what's funny is they're sitting at a dining room table, and he's like, "Well, you need some electricity in you so your body can well, about, like, I don't have to explain it to you." And Jamie Foxx is just sitting there like listening to it, goes, "Yeah, I got a question. Are these your Legos?" It was just a hilarious deadpan line because I don't know if you remember, but in the first Spider-Man, they had like a Death Star Lego that kept breaking.
Yes, that kept breaking. Yeah, or was it breaking, or did Peter's friend drop it? Because
they kept dropping it and smashing it all the time. But they had it again in Happy's apartment, and it's in Jamie Foxx, while Peter Parker's again a kid describing all this to a supervillain. He's just looking at him like, yeah, I got it. I know it. Let me ask you a question. Are these your Legos? It was just again, that's Jamie Foxx. He just made that simple one-liner hilarious.
But yeah, it's after that the damper starts working.
Almost like goes up to 90%.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like Julian was saying, his Spidey sense kicks in a way we haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. But it's such a cool scene. The way
exactly,
basically,
it's almost like a premonition type of thing.
Yeah, and you're seeing Peter. All it is the camera is really close up, focused on him, and everything else is kind of out of focus. But you see him walking through the apartment trying to figure out what's going on.
It's almost like how when in Saving Private Ryan, when you get shell shocked and all the sound washes away, and it's kind of like a lo-fi sound, and you can't really hear anything, but everything's kind of like muffled. And then he's walking. Yeah, he just started walking around the apartment like, just not really aware, but he knew something was off. And everybody's like, "Peter, what's the matter?" And you can barely hear them because he's like, and then all of a sudden he closes his eyes, takes a breath, and just shoots his web, and it hits Green Goblin's hand, And Green Goblin's like,
It's a neat trick.
That's a neat trick. That sense he got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
He was back. Goblin was back. That basically.
Yeah, so he trusted the tingle.
Yeah, the Peter Tingle.
Yes.
Yeah, the Peter Tingle.
And we'll get to that too. We'll get to the Peter Tingles. Okay, so
yeah.
So he basically Green Goblin says, "Yeah, you thought I was going to let you change me back? I've been watching you from behind Osborn's cowardly eyes. I'm never going back, and neither should any of you." And Jamie Foxx is like, "Yeah, this sucks." And then Sandman runs. So they all break camp, but then they have this amazing fight scene with Goblin and Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's brutal.
Brutal. Very brutal for a PG-13.
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe
it ends up in several floors.
Yeah, I mean,
it goes from way up in the building, and they fight all the way through down to the lobby.
The lobby,
and they weren't using the stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You pick them up and you slam them on the ground, and because physics isn't really a thing, they just go through the floor, and they just keep going through the floor. And this is the part you're talking about, guys, where they go down to the basement, and Peter's just like really messed up. He's really suffering, and Aunt May is there, down in the basement, and all of a sudden, Goblin shows up with his glider. Boom, hits Aunt May, and she goes flying, and then but Goblin gets away somehow. I forget how he gets away.
So they fight. So Goblin and Peter fight a little bit more, and then the police show up.
No, they don't fight. He throws a bomb at Aunt May after he hits her.
That's right.
And then
Peter takes the
front
of the bomb, and then Goblin just escapes. He just leaves.
He just rolls out.
Because basically Goblin wanted to take away from Peter what it was like a revenge kind of thing. It was like he's like, I'm gonna do to you what he's like, I'm gonna take whatever from you.
Well, he always said that you attack his heart. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think he was bitter
at Aunt May.
Yeah, I think he was also saying that Aunt May was weak because she was helping people. He has like this weird half-baked philosophy about the weak. So he was going to kill her to just show how weak Peter was, but here's the scene. So all of a sudden she gets up, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess she wasn't hurt that bad. And Peter's like, listen, F these guys. I'm going to send them all home. Because he still has the box where he could send them home. And Aunt May was like, no, you did the right thing. You have a great power, and with great power comes great responsibility. And and that was the line. And then it dawned on me, there was never an Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
No,
she was Uncle Ben.
She was the Uncle Ben.
She was Uncle Ben. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And again, here, Logan, I hate to say, but she then dies just like Uncle Ben would die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But easily, and you guys tell me, what were your thoughts on how that was handled with Tom Holland?
I ain't even gonna lie, dude. I almost teared up. Like, I mean,
almost.
Okay, I teared up a little bit. I mean, it was such an emotional scene. Like, I knew that was coming at some point. It had to. I'm like, it had to come at some point, and I was not ready for it. And
I was totally not. That totally blindsided me because I didn't know.
I was just like, damn. And I mean, it hurt. And then, I mean, and Tom Holland, man, he pulled off that scene so well.
If I can give you a little description of it, Logan, like so she gets up, and everybody's like, "Oh, I guess she wasn't hurt that bad," because that glider slammed into her like a Mack truck.
Mm.
And then she gets up and she's like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I just, got the wind knocked out of me. And you did the right thing, the responsibility speech." And then she's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." And then she all of a sudden gets lightheaded. And then you realize she's really hurt, and she, lays down. And yeah, Tom Holland's delivering this, how a teenager would respond. He goes, what's the matter? She goes, I just, I got to catch my breath. Yeah, I'm right here. You catch your breath. It's okay. We're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when she goes, no, he's like holding her up, and then he looks at his hand, and it's just covered in blood. And so you realize she's like bleeding out, and he's like, and here's the messed up thing. The police are there to arrest him, but he's yelling to them for help. Somebody please help me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Happy.
Yeah, and he's like, look at me, May, because she does the dead stare, intended, and he's like, look at me, I'm right here, and it's heartbreaking, and then of course they shoot at him because they're there to arrest him, not to help, and and he gets away, but oh, dude, heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbreaking.
I think the director. I know this is just my opinion. I think the director that he did. So that scene with him in Infinity Wars where he goes like, I don't want to go. That was actually improvised. That was improvised, and they kept it in because it was so powerful and all that. And I think what they were trying to do is they're trying to capture that same moment here. So, and they knew Tom Holland could do something, especially in trying to encounter facing death or facing the death of someone else. When Tony Stark died in Endgames, that same kind of acting was very, very powerful. So I think they're trying to get that, get the best of Tom Holland in this scene.
Excellent point. And you're 100% right. That couldn't have been scripted exactly the way he delivered it, because it was so just raw.
Yeah.
So weep, 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 cry, cry, cry. Everybody in the theater is just busted up. So now here's the thing. And also, forgive me, he gave the box that holds the spell to Zendaya and Ned to take care of, and he said, "Yeah, if you don't hear from me, hit the button." And so they're at Ned's grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
Who's a Filipina.
Yes.
I like to put a little
absolutely.
Section. Well, after the whole thing with him calling the other Spider-Mans.
Wait, Jesus. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. So
sorry.
One thing I need to say is that so he basically, when Spider-Man was fighting Strange, he stole his sling ring, to do the sling, the magic, and he gave it to Ned after he kicked Strange's butt. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that.
Yep.
So Ned is there with
MJ,
and he's just sitting there like, I wish I knew where Peter was. And all of a sudden you see some sparks, and then he goes, and she's like, do it again. I wish I knew where Peter was. And he opens a portal, and you see Spider-Man. You see Spider-Man, and they're like, Spider,
they're saying
Peter.
Peter, yeah, thank you. They say Peter, and Spider-Man comes and he jumps through into the grandmother's.
And it was bigger than expected.
Yeah, living room. Pulls off his head, and it's Andrew Garfield.
Mm.
And the crowd goes wild. I mean, it depends on what theater you're in, how packed it was.
Not just that. It was such a great scene.
I mean, I think that's the only thing I'm really going to miss from this. Like, spoilers are spoilers, but that crowd reaction of any movie on those opening days and weekend, like whether it's Star Wars or a Marvel movie or something else, like that energy is just incredible.
It's a shared experience.
I would have equated that scene to Captain America lifting Mjolnir in Endgame.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
that was
nowhere, and the crowd just goes wild. So when they open the portal and here comes another Spider-Man and he pulls the mask off and it's Andrew Garfield, who has been denying his involvement in this movie for so long.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's amazing because he quickly realizes they don't know who he is. He doesn't know them, but somehow they know he's Spider-Man.
Well,
His name is Peter Parker.
He did know that he was in another universe.
Yes.
Because he saw them on the news. Because Jay Jonah was saying, this is MJ and this is Ned, and they're friends with this villain, Peter Parker. Who's
so he'd been looking for their version of Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, but what's hilarious is he's in there, and Ramona, help me out here. He's in this lovely Philomena.
So this is the best part, because I was watching the movie with a group of a family of Filipinos. So they're all Filipinos. So the grandmother starts yakking away in Tagalog. And we were all laughing, and like people around was wondering what the heck are they laughing about?
Can you translate? Can you tell us what they were saying?
So the grandmother was going like, "Oh, linisin mo," because okay, so Zendaya is saying, prove that you're Spider-Man. Crawl up the wall, and so instead of crawling up a wall, he just jumps up and then suction cups himself to the ceiling
with one hand. He just goes.
And then he
goes
that's
like, not enough.
That's not enough. You gotta go crawl and all that. And then the grandmother,
this is enough.
And grandmother goes like, "Habang nandiyan ka, pakilinisan yung agyo." And we know it. And that basically means while you're up there, can you clean those cobwebs off the corner? and
so Ned ends up translating to Andrew Garfield.
But
what did your grandmother say? And she's like,
we were laughing. We were laughing even before the translation because
and so he does. He ends up crawling over and getting the cobwebs at the top of the ceiling.
It was
awesome.
just the funniest thing, and people, and we knew what the grandmother was asking even before Ned's translation, so we were already laughing, and then the people around us going like, "What are they laughing? What is she saying?"
And one thing before we go to the next one, but so what was hilarious is so he shows up, and Zendaya grabs some bread and throws it at him like a dinner roll, and it hits him, and he's like, and again, Andrew Garfield kills it.
Yeah, exactly.
He is he's such a good Peter Parker.
Yep.
And he looks at her. She throws a roll at him, and it just hits him and falls to the ground. He looks at her, and goes, "Why'd you do that?" And she goes, "I wanted to see if you had the tingle thing." And he goes, "I do."
He's like, "I have the tingle thing."
just not for bread. and then she grabs another roll, and she's like, cocking about to hit him with some more bread. And he goes, "You got trust issues?" And I respect that. And that's when he jumps up and he just hangs there from his fingertips, which is a great scene too, because it's not all over. And then he does the crawling just to get the cobwebs, and it's just so awesome. Then he's like, and this is what's hilarious. Zendaya and Ned are like, "Well, he's the wrong Peter Parker. Can you get the real Peter Parker?"
Yeah, and then Ned's like, "I want the real Peter Parker."
He said, first of all, Andrew Garfield turns around and says, "Ouch." because
that's right. Yeah, he does. He does. He's like,
"Yeah, we need to get the real Peter Parker." Ouch. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kenny.
No, so then Ned tries to do the whole opening a portal thing. He's like, "I want the real Peter Parker," and it takes him a few tries, and then they open another portal. And out jumps another Spider-Man,
but not as Spider-Man.
Not as Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's Tobey Maguire,
and not
just himself, just dressed as him, dressed in
non-deep fake Tobey Maguire, basically.
Yeah, he was dressed as a hip youth pastor. Yes,
he was.
And he just walks through, and
didn't they say that? Wasn't that the line they used in the movie?
Yeah,
he's like, "Do you always dress like a hip youth pastor?"
It's hilarious now, and again, the crowd is just going crazy because it brings it all back. I mean, and Toby looks good. He's older,
you can tell he's aged.
Yeah, he's aged, but he can still fit in.
He can fit in.
None of them could fit in the actual old uniform again. So yeah, he's fit, but he's older. Which is fine because these are different Spider-Man from different units. They didn't have to de-age him or anything. It's just, he's an older Spider-Man. And he comes in, and this was a cool scene because he comes in and he says, "Yeah, I saw in the news." And then he sees Andrew Garfield because Andrew's got his head off, but he's in the Spider-Man outfit. And he goes, "But that's not your friend." and they pause for a second, and then they start like going at each other, like throwing webs, and he like catches Andrew Garfield's wrist shooter with his web, and Andrew looks at him and was like, all right, not bad. And then Ramon, what does the grandmother say?
Basically, Ganimard was telling them to clean up the mess that they were making.
Yeah,
they were shooting webs everywhere around the house, and like, can you clean that shit up?
Yeah, oh, it's such a good scene. And then MJ and Ned were like, yeah, we're trying to find our friend Peter Parker. You know, he's probably alone right now. He's hurting. And they said, well, do you know like a place that he would go? And they find a place, you know, like
they talk about their favorite places, and you know.
Oh yes,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, and Logan, this is where the movie shines. The simple conversation between Peter Parkers is golden because it brings everything together, and
it's awesome.
I mean, yeah, he says, yeah, do you know a place that he would like to go? A place he likes to go to get alone? I used to go to the Chrysler Building, and Andrew Garfield says, no, I go to the Empire State, better view. And Tobey Maguire's like, yeah, that is a pretty sweet view. And you're just like, that just hearing that.
Shop talk. Spider-Man shop talk. Spider-Man shop talk.
Yes. I mean,
there's more.
There's more. Yeah, so they go and find Peter, and again, talk about a heartbreaking scene. He's on the roof of the school where him and MJ would hang out, and this is done so beautifully. He's sitting there all alone on the roof, you know, just a wreck because he just lost Aunt May, and Ned and MJ come up behind him, and they just hug him like one of those group hugs.
Yeah, and he's bawling his eyes out, and actually, it's when they hug him, he starts bawling his eyes out even harder.
And you feel it, yeah. And then I'll let you guys go. What happens next?
So they hug it out for a minute, and then
they call it
or MJ's like, you know, there's some folks you need to meet, and they kind of stand up, and then on a tower on the building at the top, you see the other two Spider-Men. They're just hanging on the side of the building. And then he gets kind of defensive, you know, at first, like who the hell are these guys? And then once he realizes like who they are, the conversation like goes not the way you think it would, like at first. Like he's just like, you know, oh, it's my fault you guys are here. I need to send you back home. And like he does not want their help. He wants basically just wants them out of his universe. And it takes some convincing. That's No, go ahead. I was gonna say, so they talk for a minute, and then like MJ's trying to, I think it was MJ and trying to convince him to let them help. Like they just want to help. And I can't remember who started the line.
I can tell you. I've seen it 3 times.
So I can't remember which one of them started the line.
Well, here's what's happening. It happened is so what's funny is so Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, you know, they jump down and they're looking at it and they say, "I'm sorry to hear about May," and he says, "Don't." You know, and they're like trying to console him. Goes, "Don't tell me you even know what it feels like." And then they just shut up. And then you're right. Zendaya was like, you know, this is horrible. And he goes, "Yeah, Aunt May, she was the best. Even when even after she was hurt, she still said we did the right thing." And you know, she said with great power. And then they finished the line. Andrew Garfield says, "Comes great responsibility," and Andrew and Tom Holland looks at him and he goes, "How did you know that?" And Andrew Garfield said, "Uncle Ben used to say it." And then Tobey Maguire says, "The day before he died." And
they're finishing each other's sentences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they realize, and that's when, and then they basically all have their like reminiscing moments. Like they realize that, you know,
that one.
Basically, Tom Holland is seeing that they've been through exactly what he went through, but their Aunt May was Uncle Ben, and their Uncle Ben is Aunt May. So he's like, and it really like brings them together really
Well,
quickly.
Don't forget, Kenny, they were also sharing their loss.
Yes,
because Andrew Garfield said, "I lost Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
She was my MJ."
Yep.
And I forget. And he said, and again, and I got to keep saying it. Andrew Garfield effing kills this because he said, after I lost Gwen, I became bitter and I stopped pulling my punches, and I just don't want to see that happen to you like it did to me. And he's getting choked up just saying, I don't want you to be like me, angry and bitter. And I'm just, it's such a good scene. And
I need to go see it again.
It's at least a two viewing. So they understand that they all have that commonality of loss, and they're saying, we're here to help you. So they go down into the high school lab, and Ramon was right. You want to talk about talking shop. They're in there and they start to formulate a plan on how to cure the rest of the guys. And just some of the lines. Do you guys remember any of them?
No. Oh yeah. So that stuff coming out of you, it's like
they realized that because Tobey Maguire's like, what are those things on your wrist? And they're like, oh, these are we had to make and they're like, where are yours? And then they're like, that stuff comes out of you? Like,
they go like, does it come out of your ass?
Like, man, how do you make it? Like, do you have to? And he's
like, they were going like, does it come out of basically your ass? Coming out of every other places of the body, basically.
Yeah, all the jokes. And also they had enough time to squeeze in the meme because the meme where three Spider-Men are pointing at each other. It's like the cartoon Spider-Man.
Yes.
They did that.
Yes.
So they were in the lab, and there's a moment where Ned says, "Peter," huh? And they go, "No, Peter Parker."
They all.
And they're like, "What? Him?" And so just for a split second, they're all pointing at each other like the meme. I mean, it's such fan service. But some of the shop talk that you would love, Logan, is they're all. They said, okay, Andrew Garfield, because they basically agree. Okay, we're gonna cure them, and that's the plan. We're gonna try and cure them, and they'll be okay, and then maybe that'll fix the when they go back to universes or whatever. So that's the strategy. Instead of just sending them back to die, they're gonna cure them here and then send them back. One of the things that they start to do is Andrew Garfield says, "Well, I can do the formula for Lizard because I did it before, no big deal." So he goes and he's got like on a lab coat and goggles and Tobey Maguire says,
well, technically Gwen did it.
And Tobey Maguire says, I think I can get a cure for Goblin because I've been thinking about this for a long time. And he's looking at Tom Holland, and he said, and this is pretty cool what he says. He goes, "We got to cure them all because that's what we do." Because Tom Holland doesn't want to cure anybody. He's out. He's on a revenge kick. He doesn't want to cure Goblin, but Tobey Maguire is now the elder Spider-Man, so he's like the statesman. He's like, we got to cure them all because that's what we do. And then there was a beat where MJ comes and she sits next to Peter and she's like holding his hand, and they're just having a tender moment. And Andrew Garfield looks at them and then just goes back to work. And Toby notices it and he says to Andrew, "Do you have anybody back home?" And he's like, it just breaks your heart because he doesn't really address it, but he goes, "No, I don't have any time for Peter Parker stuff. Always too busy. And how about you?" So he says that back to Toby, and he goes, "Well, I got somebody. We found a way to make it work. So just such good. Just again, and blah blah blah. So they get and guys, I'm sorry, I don't want to steamroll the conversation, but just great conversations, and they get the cures in order. And Tom Holland does like a broadcast on Jay Jonah's show saying, I could have killed you guys, but I didn't. I wanted to help you. because my Aunt May told me that everybody deserves a second chance. So I'm here at the Statue of Liberty, which represents second chances. That'd be just whoever's writing.
Statue of Liberty with the Captain America shield.
Yeah,
yeah, it's getting remade.
I guess after the attack on New York and Steve, they were redoing the Statue of Liberty, which is very tasteful. They're putting just instead of a torch, a big shield.
And get this, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a sign with the Steve Rogers the musical.
That matched Hawkeye.
Yeah, and they mashed it. And I was
fun.
going like, how the heck did they do that? Because when did this come out? Because it was the same sign as the one in Hawkeye.
That's
But
awesome.
remember, I think they made both of these during COVID, so they were probably out of order anyway.
But let's be honest too. Like, you can take any editing program, select, cancel it out, and put in the same thing. Like, it would be,
true.
poor not to have it that connected, because that's not a big editing lift.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in any background would be, here's a poster saying this or that. So
they could have probably they could have just probably done it after Hawkeye or something.
It was a placeholder until they settled on the design, and then we're like, we're putting it here, here, and here.
And there's a ton of Easter eggs like that. Even when Peter Parker went back to school. Oh, and there's one scene that I didn't mention. So he goes back to high school after he's been outed because he tries and still kind of function in society before the wheels come off. And he goes to high school. And in the background, it has like Tony Stark's dad and the guy that was in the cave that gave Tony all these scientists from the and Albert Einstein and Newton, but a lot of those. But what was hilarious is what's Hannibal Buress is like a full-on conspiracy theorist. Like, yeah, I know you killed Mysterio. I know you did it.
He's like, everybody's thinking it. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Again, but he also was the guy that said, Captain America was a war criminal. So he's not a big fanboy when it comes to superheroes. So they have the cures. Everything's ready to go. They go to the Statue of Liberty to have the showdown with, Sandman, Electro. And I'm sorry, Doc Ock remember they cured Doc Ock, so he just ran off. When everything started falling apart, he just bolted. And,
no, actually what happened was when Electro, what do you call this, decided not to get cured, so he yanks this thing off, and basically he fires an electrical bolt on
Doc
Ock,
yeah,
saying that I like you better the way you were, and then
he does throw him out of the window. Yeah.
So basically, the assumption is that he fried the chip that was
really.
My assumption was, because he basically said, "All right, I like you the way you better the way you are." So he fires the bolt, and my assumption was that was supposed to destroy the chip that Peter Parker put in.
No, I didn't have that assumption, but I could see.
I had that assumption.
Yeah,
I had that assumption. That because why would he join the fight against Peter Parker if we're talking about all of them going up against the Spider-Man. So I thought that it fried it. But that's what I thought. So
well, but when everything started going down, Jamie Foxx, when he fried him, he threw him out of the window with the power, and Doc Ock just disappeared. You don't see him again.
Yeah, you don't see him again. Yeah, so
right. So at the Statue of Liberty, Sandman shows up, Electro shows up, and
the Lizard.
Who
Lizard comes later.
Oh, Lizard. Yes, thank you, Lizard. Yeah,
he shows up later though.
Right. So they're all but here's this. And Logan, here's the scene before the big showdown. The three Spider-Man go up there and they're ready to because they're saying, okay, here's our plan. We'll do we'll cure these people this way, and they just start talking shop again. And the best scene, Logan. So and again, here's a great callback that I didn't realize until the second time I saw it. So they're all up there and they're just talking, and Andrew Garfield's like, so what are some of the other? No, Tom Holland says, so what are some of the villains you guys have fought? And he goes, well, you've seen some of them, and then what's funny
is he fought an alien once.
Yeah, and Tom Holland
goes, I fought an alien, on Earth and in space.
Yeah.
And so Andrew Garfield's like, man, I'm lame. He's like, I fought a Russian in a mechanical rhinoceros, you know?
Yeah. And,
Oh,
and Toby's like, first of all, let's rewind to that lame stuff. You know, and again, listen, he says, you're amazing.
Yep.
You know, just
does.
let that sink in. You're amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
they're doing that. I love you, brother.
Yeah, but using the word amazing is
He's
because he's the amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
And Tobey Maguire just like starts stretching out on the
back,
going like my back. And then Andrew Garfield goes like, "Oh, you get that from West Feeling? I get that too sometimes." It's like,
yeah, no, he said, "Oh, there it goes, there it goes."
Yeah,
back. Yeah, I got a lower back thing too from swinging. But here's what that came from. Remember?
Yeah, he
Spider-Man,
fell.
What's that?
When Tobey Maguire fell from the roof, trying to decide whether or not he should be Spider-Man or Peter Parker.
Yes, and they even brought it up. He goes, you know, like you have shooters. Do you ever have blockage? He goes, yeah. Do you ever have like a
web block?
You know, a web block? He goes, yeah, I have. And that's what you think about it. He fell down and slammed his back into that dumpster.
Yeah,
because my back. And yeah, you're right. He's like, he's got a back problem now, and Andrew Garfield's like, you want me to crack it? And he does, yeah. He goes, all right, turn around, and he does like the whole thing, and
nice.
And you're just loving it because it's just like bros hanging out. And Kenny's 100% right. He was like, yeah, and Toby's like, first of all, you said you were in space. It was such good just bro talk, and yeah, and then they show up, and then there's the fight, CG, you know, sling, but it is cool to see them all. Oh, they start fighting and they're just not doing that well. And here's another a shop talk. They all regroup and they said, you know what, we're not doing well. And then you know, Andrew says, yeah, I've never been on a team before. I don't know how to fight on a team. And Tom Holland says, I've been on a team. I was
in the Avengers. They're like, what are the Avengers? Because they're like, he's like, you don't have the Avengers?
No, he was like, I was
mightiest hero.
Well, yeah, well, but again, only because I've seen it, I got to get the line right. He says, you know, not to brag, but I was in the Avengers, and Toby says, you were? That's great. What are the Avengers?
Oh yeah,
and then Andrew Garfield says, is that a band? Were you in a band?
That's right.
Oh, and again, I've seen it too many times. So I just had to throw in those little details.
No, you're right. And those are the best. Those are the best little things. Like
there are so many like one-line jokes that it's just like this is yeah. They threw it left and right, and we were just gobbling him up.
I think that's what happens too when you have one as rich a history as Spider-Man and all the Spider-Men from the comics all the way through the movies, and two, the writers have been the same writers for all three Tom Holland movies.
Yep.
So you start to really really start to get a sense of the gelling and a cohesive language, and then to have them be able to play in that other way, it's not a large leap for them to talk to the other writers of the other Spider-Man movies, or to be like, oh, well, if our Spider-Man was this, he'd talk like that, and then be able to do that dialogue. Like, there's something to be said for the continuity of script writers through these, you know, these series, these connected universes and stuff. And it really makes a huge difference when they're there, and it's a huge, obvious gaping hole when they're not.
Yep.
And Logan, to that point, before we go on with the rest of the beats, that was one of the best things about this. Is each Peter Parker was completely different.
Yeah.
And that was the point.
And they were their own Peter Parkers. And yeah.
I mean, yeah, Tobey Maguire was like the older, more settled in one, and Andrew Garfield was almost kind of like a hippie, you know, love, peace, and you know, kind of dude. No, okay, I got to say this one thing though. So it's during that last conversation they had. He goes, yeah, I was in the Avengers. He goes, what's, you know, he's like, I said Peter, but I was talking to the other Peter. He goes, well, I said no. Spidey 1. No, Peter
No,
1.
Peter 1, Peter 2.
Peter 1, Peter 2, or Peter 3.
Well, he said Peter. He said I said Peter 2, and then Andrew Garfield said I thought I was Peter 2, and he goes, no, I'm Peter 2, and then they start to say, okay, I'm Peter 1, and he's Peter 2, and then Andrew Garfield goes Peter 3, and it's just such a callback because everybody's ranking their Spider-Man, and he's like. He's kind of down on himself. He goes, "Yeah, I'm number 3 apparently." Oh, it's just
that's
many,
meta and fun.
Yeah,
it's so meta. It's so meta because again, he's like yeah, I'm lame. All I fought was a Russian in a mechanical rhino suit.
Yeah,
because that's probably he was just rereading what Twitter had said, and that was the script. Oh, it was so good, and I'll let you guys talk about the fight because the fight is the fight. It's
it's great. Yeah, then they come together.
And the funny thing is,
like he's just like, this is what we need to do. We have to trust our instincts and
trust the tingle.
Yeah, trust the tingle.
and what do you call this? At the same time, so Ned opens up the portal to the place and couldn't close it.
Yeah.
So basically, that's how Ned and Zendaya end up in the fight scene as well.
Yeah,
they were. So they basically so Ned opens up the portal. Why did he open the portal? Oh,
well, Spider-Man, he lured them with the box, which this is bad writing. He lured them with the box, and then as soon as they showed up, he threw the box to Ned and Zendaya through the portal so they could have it and safekeeping.
But then Ned couldn't close the portal.
Close the portal.
Yeah, again, yeah, he didn't have to have the friggin' box. But that's for drama, whatever.
Yeah. Which actually kind of works well because the person who brings Doctor Strange back is Ned. While they were doing the fight, Ned opens a portal and tries to open the portal back to the apartment. I guess he opens a portal and lets Strange back from the mirror universe.
Yeah, he says, I've been hanging over the Grand Canyon.
I've been hanging over the Grand Canyon for like
12 hours.
Yeah. Which made that made me think of back to Loki. Where Loki's like, I've been falling for like 30 minutes or whatever,
He said it pretty much the same way.
Yes.
I've been hanging for 7 hours or 12 hours or whatever.
It's so many like Easter eggs. That's why you got to watch it a couple of times just to catch all those and fight. They and I'm just jumping through because some of these, and like I said, the Sandman and Lizard were just CG up until the end where they used footage from the old movies. But yeah, so they cure Sandman and they cure Lizard. And then
Doc Ock shows up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Doc Ock shows up.
So
he's the one that helped with Jamie. He's the one.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is like pinning him down with electricity, and Doc Ock shows up, says, "Here, let me join you guys."
Yeah. So this is why I thought that the chip was the chip that cured chip that cured him was short-circuited, but turns out it wasn't.
Yeah.
So he was still good Doc Ock.
Yeah, he pretended he was bad for a second, and then voila, he was not bad, which we all kind of saw coming. But yeah, but to that point, this is what's hilarious. So all of a sudden, of course, Green Goblin shows up, and he is a good bad guy, the Green Goblin. You forget how menacing he was because he was such a long time ago.
And he was. I actually would say that I think he might have been even more brutal in this movie than he was in the previous.
Oh yeah, well that fight scene. But again, Sam Raimi had a pretty good fight scene when they were in the rubble. Like throwing the grenade and blowing up in Peter's face. I mean, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But what is funny is Goblin shows up. Goblin shows up and snatches the box with the spells in it. Because again, the spells are basically inside this box. And then Spider-Man, one of the Spider-Man grabs it with a web and gets it back to Strange, or maybe Strange does it. But Goblin put one of his grenades in it, blows it to Kingdom Come.
Oh yeah.
So that just fractures the sky, and all the villains start, you see silhouettes of a lot of them, like they're beginning to come through now that the spell's been released. Yep. And this is what I saw. You tell me, you guys, if you guys saw anything else. I saw
Rhino.
A silhouette of Kraven the Hunter. I
That's
saw
a
a
rhino.
silhouette of Scorpion. And I'm talking about the comic book versions, not,
I'm trying to remember. I'd have to go back. I need to.
yeah, you got to see it a few times.
Definitely saw a rhino.
Rhino, yeah, rhino. But it wasn't the mechanical one. It was like
Yeah.
just a big guy with a horn on his head.
Yep.
And these are all silhouettes. So you can make out their silhouettes, but you see them on
So somewhere at this point though, they're fighting. Zendaya falls down from the
wait,
scaffold.
yes. Say that part in detail. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Zendaya falls, and
Got
it basically the way they caught the fall is the same way that Gwen fell in Amazing Spider-Man. So
Tom
it was like
Holland.
it's exactly pretty much the same movement. Oh, my background's really crappy.
Yeah.
But and then so Tom Holland's trying to save him, and then but as he was as he was about to reach Zendaya's hand while they were falling, Green Goblin sweeps him away. And so this was the part where basically we think Zendaya's gonna die the same way Gwen did, and then guess what? And Andrew Garfield jumps down, catches her, and then releases the web right before they hit the ground. So basically, he redeems himself, for what happened with Gwen, saves MJ.
And you see it in his eyes because he's literally crying, like he's tearing up. Like when he asked her, "Are you okay?" and you can tell it's like a moment where he feels redeemed.
Yeah, and at the same time feels he feels like redeemed and sad at the same time because he it's just the memory of Gwen just came back to her. Honestly, I thought that who was it that played Gwen?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. Honestly, I thought that she was going to show up as what do you call this? A Spider-Gwen.
That would have been too much.
I think they had to keep it a little bit low key because they didn't want it to be into the Spider-Verse.
Sorry,
they wanted to be a live action into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, but I would say though that Into the Spider-Verse kind of prepared me for this.
Yes.
But also the whole point of this was, we see characters that we know. We wouldn't know. I get what you're saying. Yeah, if she were to show up but that's a whole nother story. You got to kind of, start factoring it. I hear you though. Yeah, like showing up as Spider-Woman. But I want to go back to that beat you were talking about because Logan, you and I always say it: showing, not telling.
Yeah.
When and the way they shot it, it was just such a deft save. And like he catches her and he just sticks the landing.
Well, because you see, he sees.
Oh yeah,
all the action. Like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man sees, like Tom Holland trying to save her, and then as soon as he gets snatched by the Goblin, Andrew's. I mean, it's like just that quick. He's like, "Oh crap!" and he goes after her.
Yeah. And the way that he lands, it's just like he catches her, and it's just like. I got you. And he lands and all the metal scaffolding's falling around him. But it's so well shot. And he just looks at her and he's like, "Are you okay?" And he has this look on his face, like Ramon was saying, just about to burst into tears. But he's like so happy he was able to do this one thing. And she looks at him, she goes, "Yeah, are you okay?" Because because he's the expression. And again, Andrew Garfield, who knew? I mean, he's been in a lot of great stuff, but he killed it in this. I can't say enough good things about him.
I never had a problem with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
Not a problem. I was never. It's kind of hard to do a lot of your emoting. And again, I didn't know him that well, so I think that this just gave him a little more range because before he was kind of like a quirky teenager, but and I got to watch again when he lost Gwen.
That was heartbreaking. Basically, he almost had her. It's just like they were several inches from the ground. But the thing about it is the drop was so intense that yes, they did stop, but her head was just inches from the ground, and because of the shock of the stop, her head hit the back of her head hits the ground so hard that she basically, she gets
I thought it snapped her neck.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know in the comic book she snapped her neck.
Yeah,
but
no, but in this one, she basically, so how she died was like they were going to make it, and I thought they were going to make it, but basically it was the catch was too late because they did catch her, but the I guess the momentum was so fast that the back of her head just hit the. It looked like it tapped the ground, but it was hard enough that it caused uh that it basically killed her.
I hear you. I think there's two schools of thought on that. Because I see in the footage where you're talking about where her head, like, just barely, but also I don't know if that's her head or her hair, and because again, you let the internet decide. But it was a grieving scene, absolutely, and just to see that redemption, and this is all about redemption.
Yeah, and everyone had their redemption moments.
Let's talk about Tobey Maguire's redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, fight, and all of a sudden, Tom Holland gets Goblin after everything's falling down. Yeah, after everything's falling down around them, the shield falls off the Statue of Liberty, so it lands on on Ellis Island, and they're fighting on the shield, and Goblin still has this mania about him, like, oh, poor Peter, too weak to save MJ, or too weak to save May, and it's just rubbing it in, and you're trying to send me back, aren't you? And he goes, no, I just want to kill you myself.
Yep.
And they start doing some fighting.
Then, Green Goblin goes, attaboy, like, bring it on.
Yeah, because he's psychotic, and Peter starts to get the better of him and just starts wailing on him.
Oh yeah,
like wailing on him.
I mean, beats him to a pulp, like, to the point that he can't defend himself anymore. Yeah,
and then he basically just
up the
glider, the same glider that killed Goblin, and he takes the pointy end and tries to just bring it down to Goblin, and then Tobey Maguire jumps in and stops Peter, and there was just his look. He didn't. They didn't say a word. It was just the look, the look that Tobey Maguire had, looking at Peter Parker, basically saying, "You crossed this line, you will never come back." And they didn't say anything. He was just looking at it, but you can tell by the way he was looking at him exactly what he's trying to tell Peter. And I was just amazed. And that was a very, very powerful moment at that point. It was, yeah. It was like,
and if I could just embellish a little on it, is everything that Ramon said. So Toby stops him, and Andrew's still trying. I mean, Tom Holland's still trying to push, and Toby's just like not letting it move. He's just like, no, without saying it, he's like. And you know exactly the scene I'm describing.
Yeah.
And then he slowly puts it down, and you're gonna love this. Goblin stabs Toby.
Yep.
He's okay though. He's okay.
I thought he was going to die.
I love that because Andrew Garfield comes to his rescue, and he's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been stabbed before."
Yeah. But of course, it's one of those moments that everybody's like horrified that Toby's going to die, because it would have made sense, I guess.
Something you forgot, like in the middle of all that fighting. Do you remember, like, once they had come together and they were working better as a team, there was that one moment where they all got together, and I can't remember which one of the Peters said it, but he was like, "I love you guys."
Oh, that was Andrew. It was Andrew because he's the hippie one.
Yeah. And the other ones are like, "Thank you."
Yes, good scene. Yeah, he's like, "I always wanted brothers. I love you guys." Yeah. What was also a good scene is back when they were in the lab making the cures. Ned is like, "I wonder if there's like a Ned in their universes." And he talks to Andrew, and he talks to Toby. He's like,
Toby goes like, "Do you have a best friend?"
Did you have a best friend? And he goes, "Yeah. He died in my arms after he tried to kill me."
And Ned
Ned just slowly walks away.
And that's like, oh crap! Like,
but what's
he's like,
hilarious?
I don't want to kill you.
What is hilarious is later on, before they head out, Ned is talking to Tom Holland. He goes, "And I just want you to know, I won't become a supervillain and try to kill you." And Andrew Garfield, again, he's killing it. He puts his hand on Ned's shoulder. He's like, just, yeah, good one. Yeah. That had to be said. Yeah, good. Logan, you got to see it. I'll tell you what.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Like,
but again, I wish you could see it in the theater. I know now.
I know.
Well, just
Do we need to rent? Do we need to rent out a theater? Like, let's just buy out a theater.
Probably.
Look, if they go back to that, consider it. But
well, Logan, just to end this in a good note. So basically, so when Green Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire, you would think that I thought that Tom Holland was going to finish him off with a glider, but instead, Andrew throws him the serum that they worked on. Tobey Maguire worked on. He grabs it, injects it into what do you call this, Green Goblin, and he's back to
in his neck,
and now his net again. Yeah. So basically, he saves everyone.
And for a second, and again, Green Goblin was like, again, Willem Dafoe, because he goes from Joker to Willem, and he's like, "What did I do?" And but he does the transformation in one. There's no cutaways.
He's exceptional.
And he even does like a little twitch, like a coming out of like if somebody waved smelling salts under his nose, he does that
coming out of the fog.
Yeah. And then he has this look of horror, and it's just like, what did I do? So yeah, I mean, it's so good. And okay, so again, the spell is now open, so the sky is opening up, and all the villains are about to come in that know Peter Parker.
Doctor Strange is trying to contain everything, but he couldn't.
And so Peter goes to him and says, "Make everybody forget me."
So basically, he's saying the original spell cast it right this time, and then even Doctor Strange had a moment basically, but everyone's gonna forget about you, and we know with this in his with the look on his face, we know that he meant himself. He didn't want to forget who Peter was.
Well, here's the thing. The first spell was to make people forget that Spider-Man was Peter Parker. This one, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he's saying, I want people to forget Peter Parker
existed.
Yeah, yep. Peter Parker existed at all.
No, it was just the original spell.
Well, he said that no. But here's the contradiction, though. He said it cast the original spell, but the effect of the spell that he did was not for everyone to forget who Peter Parker or Spider-Man. Basically, it just erased everyone's memory of Peter Parker. Period. So
that is true.
So there was like it's a little. I think it's a little blip in the way they had the story written down because it was not the original spell. The original spell was for everyone to forget Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
Right,
but he was asking for the same spell, but the effect was different.
Because the first spell, they would have known who Peter Parker was. They just would never have known Peter Parker was Spider-Man. This one, Peter Parker is erased from memory, like he never existed.
Yeah.
Because he was like, Ned's my best friend. I'd have to explain. No, he said, Aunt May, I'd have to explain to her all over that I'm Spider-Man, and I don't think I could go through that. So they were going to know who Peter Parker was. They just would never know that, they were the two people. This one erased them from existence. So, exactly. and again, that was the sacrifice, and that was the maturity that he said, instead of making my life more easy, I want everybody to have it, but I won't get anything out of this. I just want everybody else to be, okay and safe and blah, blah, blah.
And just going back to Doctor Strange, that was a very I just love the way they do the way they do acting without saying anything, the facial expressions. You could, the Doctor Strange is basically was hesitating on casting the spell because basically saying, Peter, everyone's going to forget who you are. And when he meant everyone, you can tell in the look of his face that he really meant me. I'm going to be forgetting who you are, and I don't want that to happen. And so he cast the spell. Of course, everyone. And to the other thing about the point about Peter Parker's, they did it so well because the thing about erasing Peter Parker from existence, he didn't even go to high school. I mean, no one remembers him in high school. He had to take the GED.
Yep.
Or yeah, he had the book about taking the GED. So that's.
I wanted
Oh wow.
to go back just a little bit because there was a really great scene in the fight when Doc Ock comes in and helps when he takes the arc reactor off of Electro.
Exactly.
Oh,
Remember, he's
Yes.
holding it and he says that he's like, the power. He's like the power
of the sun.
And Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker says in the palm of your hand, and Doc
He took
Ock,
the arc.
Doc Ock is like, oh, Peter.
yeah, because that's
And
the
so
first time
and
they
he takes
saw
his
each
mask.
other.
He takes his mask off and goes, "Hey, Otto," and Doc Ock's like, "Oh, it's so good to see you," and he was like, "It's so good to see you," and Doc Ock's like, "Oh, you're all grown up," and he's like, "How are you doing?" And Peter's like, "I'm trying to do better." And it was that scene was just, I was like, man, that's so cool.
Everything was like a reunion. It was
exactly.
And thank you so much for saying that, Kenny. I got to bring up one other thing. So after Doc Ock took out the arc reactor from Electro, and then he installs the dampener back onto Electro, and so Jamie Foxx just drops to the ground and he's all out of juice. And then Andrew Garfield pops up and he takes off his mask. He goes, "Are you okay? No more shenanigans, right? You're gonna be all right." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm all tapped out." And he says, "But listen, don't take this the wrong way. You're a good-looking kid, but you fight crime. You're from Queens. I thought you'd be black."
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he goes, "No, don't worry about it. I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man somewhere."
Mm-hmm. That's how you bring Miles Morales in.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And again, everything was such a clever wink and a nod. And yeah, because that's right. Jamie Foxx, I don't believe ever knew that Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man.
Yes, that was a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And when he sees him, he goes, "The way you dress, you fight crime in Queens. I just thought you were black. You're a good-looking kid." And again, Andrew Garfield is such a sweetheart. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like you let him down not being a brother, and he was like, there's probably a black Spider-Man somewhere," and of course that is the segue to Miles Morales.
Oh, you remember, how we were talking the shop talk earlier, like how they were. You remember in the lab when they're talking about the different villains. And Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is like, "Yeah, Max, Electro. Max was the sweetest guy ever until he fell into a vat of electric eels." And Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker's like, "Well, that'll do it."
Let me back that up. You're 100% same thing where they were in the condo trying to find a cure. And Jamie Foxx is talking, Electro's talking to Sandman. And Sandman says, no, Jamie Foxx says, Sandman asks Electro, "So how'd you get your powers?" He goes, "Yeah, well, I worked at Oscorp and I fell into a vat of electronic eels." And Electro's like, "How did you get yours?" He goes, "Yeah, I fell into a collider."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Damn, you got to watch where you fall." It's again, the inside jokes and the deliveries just it warms the heart. It warms the heart. And yeah, I mean, this movie's killing it. I mean, they already broke $1 billion, and it's still going.
This is the $1 billion during COVID.
Yep.
During COVID, yeah, and it's.
But there were so many, man. There's so many good callbacks. Like even when Norman Osborn, right? When he says "I'm something of a scientist myself."
He says he did the thing, yeah, because when they're like starting to work, when he says, you're right. Osborn says when they're talking about curing him, he goes, "I could help. I'm a bit of a scientist myself."
That's the same line he said tells Tobey Maguire during when what's his name introduced this to him.
so many. I mean, we might have to do like a infographic of all the callbacks and
All the
Easter eggs.
callbacks.
There's so many.
There's so many.
And again, here's the funny thing is, I was afraid, or I assumed that, because of the internet, they're saying, yeah, Tom Holland's going to be it, maybe Tobey Maguire. I'm sorry, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I thought they just do like a Ghostbusters type cameo where they just show up in the outfits and like, hey, good going, kid, or like a Superman and Shazam, just the slightest of cameos, just kind of, to get people excited. They were integral in the plot.
The plot, yes.
And the fact that each one had their own arc within it. Andrew Garfield saved Gwen, but as MJ. Toby saved Joker from being impaled by Tom. And it was just...
You mean the Goblin?
The Goblin.
Joker in this universe.
He is.
No,
He's definitely the Marvel Joker, if you will, but with superpowers and a glider. Oh, it was so good. And at the end, this will be heartbreaking. At the end, after everything's settled, and he goes to Ned and MJ, and he goes, "Oh, no, okay." So he talks to Doctor Strange and says, "Do the original spell, but this time just make everybody forget I ever existed." And he's like, "Are you sure, Peter? Everybody who knows and loves you, Tyr, will never know that you exist." And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure. It's not about me. I just, want to fix all this damage." And he goes down to Peter Parker, Toby and Andrew, and he's like, "Guys, you're about to go home, I think." And he goes, I just don't, and they just stop him, "Hey, it's what we do." And
then Tobey Maguire goes like, "I'm really hurting."
Well, yeah, Andrew Garfield's holding up Toby, But again, that line that he said, "Are you okay?" He goes, yeah, I've been stabbed before. It's just such, it's so good. And as Andrew
so
Garfield,
casual.
Yeah, exactly. And as because he's been around so long and he's seen so much, getting stabbed is not the worst thing that's probably happened to him. So he's like, yeah, I've been stabbed before. It's no big deal. But yeah, so Tom Holland runs off and Andrew's holding up Toby and they're like waving and he goes, "You're in a lot of pain, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah, you're in a lot of pain." Oh, so good. But so after that, then, Doctor Strange seals the thing, blah, blah, blah. Next day, Tom Holland goes to MJ and Ned says, "Guys."
No, he goes to the... Was it before or after?
No. Before the spell takes hold, he goes to MJ and Ned and says, "You're going to forget about me." And she's like, I don't want to forget about, what this is BS. I don't like this. And he goes, "No, there's, you're going to forget about me, but don't worry. I will find you." It's almost like right out of,
he's like, "I'll find you and I'll
make you remember."
I'll make you remember. And
and another heartbreaking,
the last of the Mohicans. "I'm going to find you."
Yeah. Or Walking Dead, if depending on your point of reference, I'll find you.
Yeah. So now next day after the spell, he goes into the coffee shop, donut shop she works in, and he's got a speech like all prepared, and Ned's sitting like at the counter having a donut, and he walks in and sees her, and he just realizes that her life, like he hears that like her and Ned
got into
been talking and they got accepted into MIT. And so he realizes that,
No, well, he was still about to tell her, and then she moves her hair to the side, and then she sees the bandage.
He sees the bandage,
and then
she
realizes,
a little scrape during all the melee.
And then he just realizes, you know what, this was because of him. But she got injured, she got these injuries and all that stuff. And he just decides, I'm not, it's better that they don't know who he is.
Yep.
So that was a very sad moment of the movie, by the way.
Yep.
Now, so he sacrifices for that cause. Now he goes off,
gets himself a apartment.
And I swear,
no.
I swear.
Before that. He goes to the cemetery to visit
snap!
And then Happy sees him, and then basically goes like, "Well, so where did you know May? Where did you know her from? You know." So basically, Happy just doesn't
Yeah,
remember who he is.
Happy doesn't know Peter Parker at all, and he says, "I knew her through Spider-Man." You know, but so whatever the magic is, like any photos that had Peter Parker in it are gone, or or altered. It's kind of like it's the same science that we'd use in Back to the Future. He's erased from existence, essentially. But thank you for that, Ramon. Yeah, I forgot about that scene where he's Happy at the
cemetery.
Yeah, the cemetery, and Happy even says, I lost a friend like this once. And Robbie, obviously a reference to Iron Man because he has to mention Iron Man. And after that, he goes and he gets an apartment, and I swear, guys,
you're not imagining. You're not imagining it. It's MJ and his and Tobey Maguire's apartment.
It's Tobey Maguire's same apartment.
I think it would have been better if they had the landlord too.
Yeah, I hope. I don't even know.
That would have been any better. Like you pay rent.
Yeah,
that particular scene, actually, the window scene is the same. It's the same scene when MJ, decides not to marry J. Jonah Jameson's son, runs to Peter's apartment, opens the door. There's Peter looking at her. There's the window, and then all of a sudden, basically they do their falling in love thing, and then Peter hears the sirens and all that stuff, and then she goes like, "Go get him, Tiger." That window, that area is the very same one.
I'm glad I'm not imagining. Yeah,
you're not imagining. It's the same one.
It's a horrible small apartment, but it's what they can afford. And here's the thing, and I think internet kind of spoiled it for me. Not spoiled it, but keyed me on this. Toby makes a new Spider-Man suit. And it's the old school curvy Spider-Man suit, and it's all shiny. It's like made out of
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. Darn it! Sorry, yeah, Tom Holland makes an old school Spider-Man suit, and here's why. Get this: he has to make it because the AI in his suit doesn't know who he is.
Oh.
Yeah, because he still had the nano suit, but the suit doesn't recognize him as Spider-Man anymore because he's like, who's this guy? Nothing knows.
Well, you know what? If in the future they bring back that suit, that's going to be a big mistake. They better not make that mistake, because you're right. I mean, didn't even think about that. He can't use the suit anymore.
Right, but isn't that brilliant? Because I was thinking, why did he have to make his own suit? And then I realized, oh yeah, his suit is key to Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Peter Parker doesn't really exist, he can't just jump in that suit anymore or make it work. So yeah, he made his own suit. There's a sewing machine, and it's like all shiny. It looks like something that it looks like. I'll tell you what, it looks like the one from that movie, that TV movie back in the
70s.
70s. Yeah.
It's real bright, blue and red. I liked it though.
Yeah, it's retro.
What's that?
It's very retro.
It is. And here's technically, this whole trilogy was the origin story of Spider-Man in an oddly enough way, because now he is Tony Stark free, no gadgets. It's just him in his suit, and Aunt May just died, giving him the responsibility thing. I mean, they did it a roundabout way, but that is it.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. And again, now they can go anywhere. Oh, okay. Now let's talk about some post credits. Okay, so there's two. The first one, of course, is Tom Hardy sitting in a tiki bar. Because did you see the end of Venom 2? Or did you even see Venom 2, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember at the end where
kind of beeps into the Marvel universe. Yeah.
And I've heard some more about it, and it kind of makes sense where they're saying, well, the symbiotes, because they're like a hive mind, and I didn't know that, but that's what they're saying, is because they're hive mind, they can see each other in different universes because they're all kind of like a mind that transcends universes. Fine, if that's fine. I'm not going to argue that, but you cut to Tom Holland getting drunk at a bar in apparently Tom Holland's neighborhood.
Tom Hardy.
No, but I'm saying Tom Hardy is at a bar getting drunk.
You're calling him Tom Holland.
Yeah, you said Tom Holland.
Well, okay. So Tom
I didn't know who was
Hardy
getting drunk.
is Tom Hardy's drunk in Tom Holland's universe. That's what
All
I'm
right.
trying to say.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's I don't this felt forced, guys, because he's talking to a bartender and he goes, all right, so let me get this right. And again, it's Tom Hardy. I'm sorry, if Tom Hardy doesn't have a mask or some thick Cockney accent, he's not. I'm sorry. He's not doing it but he's like doing his Brooklyn accent or whatever. And he's like, so tell me again about the purple guy who likes the little stones. And yeah, the bartender's like, yeah, Thanos. He's telling him about Thanos, and then and a little man,
rich guy.
yeah, and then the rich guy in a metal suit that flies around, and the guy's like, yeah, Iron Man. And then again, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Out of nowhere, no, he says, yeah, Thanos made my family disappear for 5 years. And Tom Hardy's like, 5 years? We should go talk to the Spider-Man fella. And I'm like, why? How does Spider-Man tie into anything he just told you? It makes zero. There's no connection there. But
Well, there could have been
other than the studios.
I think there was like I think it was that took it for granted that there was a whole extended conversation right before they did that scene.
Yeah, but even that whole thing, what? I mean,
It was forced a little bit, but
yeah, it
was an interesting way to bring Venom into the
MCU.
kind of.
And to that point, so Tom.
At the end of that, he disappears.
Yeah, he disappears.
He has to pay his tab.
Yeah, because remember, everybody who came through the portal, who knew Peter Parker vanished or went back, so he goes back too. But a little bit of goo, a little bit of the symbiote is left on the bar, which again makes no sense. Why would that? That doesn't make any sense. Is he just leaving symbiote? Is he tracking symbiote everywhere he goes? No.
Maybe he sweats it out.
Yes.
Well, the other thing is the same as Electro. He doesn't know who Peter Parker is. He doesn't even know who Spider-Man is.
Exactly.
So why did he get zapped into that universe? That's the other
well,
question.
And that's the thing is at the end of Venom, and this was also shoehorned in there, where he's talking to Venom, and Venom says, "Yes, we can travel between universes."
Mm-hmm.
Nobody asked you that, and then he teleports him to the.
But he also said that he didn't do that. The symbiote said that he didn't do that.
What do you mean?
You're absolutely right. The symbiote said we can teleport between universes, blah blah blah, and then all the crazy stuff happened, and he went, "What the hell was that?" And the symbiote was like, "We didn't do this."
Oh, okay.
I thought.
You're talking. Oh, when they're watching TV in the hotel room?
Yeah. At the end.
No,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. No. You're right. And again,
I mean, look here. I think
then,
they lost the bigger picture of doing what I think would have made all the sense, which was basically blaming this all indirectly on Loki. This all
that
has
should
to
have
tie
been
back to Loki.
That
Strange should have been like, "What's the multiverse? The multiverse is a concept, not a thing." Oh, something happened.
Well, here's the thing, though. It probably would not have, because let's admit it. I mean, people. A majority of the people who are watching go to the main movie. I mean, the Disney series are good.
I hear what you're saying.
But, the Disney series is good, but you would probably have a small compared to the total number of fans that are going out there watching all the Avengers and all that stuff. They would say about 70% of them watched Loki, maybe 30%.
Probably less. And I hear you 100%. And calling it out by Loki, no, it would not work. But all that needs to happen is there needs to be an understanding that there was never a multiverse, and now all of a sudden there is a multiverse. And that kind of, instead of making these, stupid little other things, just leave it at this didn't exist before. This seems like what this is, kind of a thing. Why is it now?
Right.
Because that's the whole brilliance of every Disney Plus movie so far, is that you don't need to have seen, series. You don't need to have seen any of them. You don't need to know the entire Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. It plays nothing on the fact that Cap gave Sam the shield. Sam's Captain America.
Yeah.
You know, in the normal movie world, he's going to have a suit. He's going to be flying around. You're going to go, oh, that suit's awesome. Where do you get that suit from? Blah, blah, blah. And we saw all of that. Did they need to make a movie of that? No. Did it need to even be a series? No. But was it an exclusive kind of nod to the, you know, uber geeks of all of us inside, where we get to see that of like, oh, that's how he became it. That's how he got to the place of it. Same thing with this whole multiverse crap. Loki, great. Loki did it. We don't need to see that. We don't even need to know that anything other than there wasn't a multiverse at this point, and now there is a multiverse at this point.
And that's an excellent point. And yeah, I do believe that a lot of the shows on Disney Plus are connective tissue. They can tie them all together. I do want to say one thing, and Ramon, I'll give it back to you. I think there's a big difference between the multiverse and the variant timeline. I think they're two different things because I think, for example, on the timeline, and again, I know what you're saying, that would have been a great, you know, like a catch-all, the timeline variant, and because that's not technically a multiverse, it's a multiple timeline, like the Sorcerer Supreme showed. You know, you have different versions from a certain point, but the multiverse technically is just completely different realities that have been going in parallel from, you know, from the beginning. Whereas in Loki, whenever that time was, that's when everything would have started going off in different directions. So I think they're different things, but to your point, it would have been much cleaner if they would have just written it that way. And, you know, everything was fine up until this point, but the multiverse is technically saying they've always been multiverses, and this magic kind of brought them together. So they're two different things, but now it's confusing because now you have two different things.
Right.
Because Kang is coming, and he's not from a multiverse. He's from like the time hub. You know, there's 20 different Kangs.
But they've been using those interchangeably. They use them interchangeably in Loki.
Well, here's the thing, though. So basically, I think what's confusing is like people making variants in the timeline, thinking that variant is now a different reality that was produced, that is now another universe because it's now following a different reality path. So I think that's one of the things that's very, very confusing, because a disruption in the timeline can result into an alternate dimension or an alternate universe. Because what is an alternate universe? It's basically people at certain point making it's like making decisions. Like right now, I'm going to eat a hamburger. But what if I didn't eat a hamburger? I ate chicken and all that stuff. So
what do you have against
every decision that you've made since I ate the hamburger goes this way. Every decision I made after. So basically, it's pretty much tying. You're right. It's not the same thing, but it is the same thing.
You know what? I would use this analogy. The timeline is like a tree, where the multiverse is like a forest. I see your, because the timeline all starts from a single point and branches out. The multiverse are completely separate, and
so multiverse can have multiple timelines within it, or each universe has multiple timelines.
That's what the entire analogy is.
It could be
a tree starts from a certain point and can go all these ways, but I
think we've diverged though now. We skipped over what I guess you could technically call the second cut scene at the end, or the post credits. But it wasn't really a scene. It was the teaser trailer for the Doctor Strange movie, right?
They showed it a week later anyway. But one of the best tie-ins from the series is in that trailer.
Yeah, basically that
from the What If series.
Oh, two tie-ins. Two tie-ins.
So
there's Wanda from WandaVision.
Yes, Logan doesn't know that.
But the
Dark Doctor
Strange, like that
in that
you know,
castle where Loki found who's his name, Kang or
yeah, Kang the
yeah,
Conqueror.
Kang the
Yeah,
Conqueror.
it's like
Well,
what if the death of Doctor Strange's girlfriend sent
Yep.
him like in a dark place, and he
Mhm.
He
became
like
like
started consuming all of those like celestial beings or whatever, and and it's that Doctor Strange.
yeah,
And
and
I'm
that
like, that is going to be fantastic.
yeah, and again, hence the multiverse of madness. So they're obviously calling it the multiverse,
Mhm.
but and again, okay, so you're right, interchangeable, because if they're going to have Kang, no, Kang is going to be an Ant-Man. Oh, gee, my brain hurts. So now, Kang is in Ant-Man in Quantumania or whatever that is. Yeah,
Quantumania, yeah.
Quantumania, and then Wanda and Strange are in in the Multiverse of Madness. So those are
Mhm.
I hope they don't drop the ball, because this is becoming quite confusing.
They
Yeah.
haven't yet.
No, they haven't. It keeps getting better and getting better.
It
I
is true.
just,
And
I just hope it doesn't lose steam because, yeah, it just keeps spending.
and I was surprised. I was so afraid that after Endgame, I would have superhero fatigue. Not even close.
Mhm.
Nope.
No.
I could watch another 20
The
years.
stories are good. The stories that they're telling are just good stories with amazing actors that just transcend the genre
And
regularly.
And you know what else I think keeps it going? And this is what people don't seem to understand. When people think about superheroes, they're thinking about the Justice League, where you have a flying strong man, a walking strong woman, a water guy, a robot guy, but they're all kind of doing the same thing. The multiverse, I mean, not the multiverse, but all these different things that Feige put into place, they're their own category of superheroes. So it's not like you're bored because you're seeing something new all the time. So
Well, that was how they did it from the beginning. Captain America was a period piece, and Thor was a fantasy, basically.
yeah,
And all of it
The
from
Multiverse
Shang-Chi
of
all the way
Madness.
was a full-on Asian martial arts movie. Not Civil War. Winter Soldier was a
spy.
kind of more spy noir. Like,
Multiverse of Madness is actually going to be listed as a horror.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, okay. Hopefully they don't mess that up like that X-Men thing they tried to do. The
New Mutant.
New Mutants. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of New Mutants, I'm a little worried about all these new people they're introducing. Kate Bishop,
She's awesome.
She is awesome, yeah, but I'm just thinking now. So talking about his superhero fatigue, I'm not too sure. Maybe if they develop there comes a point where they're gonna probably bring all of these together. The new Yelena, the new
Black Widow.
Black Widow, and so they're trying to bring the next generation up, and
I think
I'm
they
still
said,
a little wary. What do you call this? They have big shoes to fill. So
well, they're talking basically what it looks like they're marching toward is the new Avengers, right?
the
The
new
Young
Avengers.
Avengers.
The Young Avengers, right? And I'm fine with that. I think they're lining it up pretty well.
Yep.
So they're already saying that basically Doctor Strange is going to become the new Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then your Young Avengers.
So we have Kate Bishop.
You have Kate Bishop. Who else? I can't remember. I'm just.
Well, what's her name
So
is supposed to be in
Yelena.
it too? Agatha.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, they are coming out with the series now. House of
House of Harkness. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: isn't the T'Challa's little sister going to be the new Black
Shuri.
Panther?
I don't know if we know yet.
We don't know yet.
If she is, she's awfully young. She would probably be a good addition there. I mean, but again, I'm not a fan of. I don't know the source material that well, so I don't know who was in the Young Avengers.
So
anyway, I think they are gonna I don't want to say they're pulling a Menudo where they're just swapping out everybody for younger versions, but It seems
Well,
like
definitely. Well, probably not complete. I mean, you still have the Falcon. You still have, you still have all the people are still going. So
it's going to be interesting. Whatever they're doing, again, I don't think Disney is going to mess with the formula because it's been just a killer success so far. I mean, they're all coming out with Captain Marvel 2. Don't forget about that. So, yeah, there's plenty of gas left in this tank.
oh, and there's She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah.
They're coming out with She-Hulk. They're coming out with Miss Marvel.
So
Miss Marvel, yep.
The Young Avengers is so there's Kate Bishop, Marvel Boy, Patriot, Miss America, Speed, Wiccan, Prodigy, Stinger.
But this is the comic book. You're not talking about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but now Wiccan and Speed we've seen in WandaVision, right? That was her children.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, in the post credits of the last episode, you hear them calling to her. So we actually might see them again.
We might.
We already have Kate Bishop. I think we're also getting that the female Iron Man.
Ironheart,
yeah. So I think they'll put Ironheart in for Iron Lad.
Wait a second. Maybe that's that's not T'Challa's little sister going to be Ironheart. No. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I heard Morgan Stark, but she's too young though. So
there's Morgan Stark that I'm aware of.
So there's a cut scene from I think Endgame where Tony Stark was talking to the older.
No, that was a cut. That was a unused cut.
Unused cut. So it's
a deleted scene. Yeah.
It was supposed to be used when he died. That he went to the spirit realm and saw his older daughter grown up. But yeah, they never used it.
So I could see Kate Bishop, Speed and Wiccan from the WandaVision, right? Or somehow they'll come out of the multiverse of madness.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have Agatha, right? She'll be like I think she's gonna become like the mentor, like she was in the comics, because that's what she was, a mentor to the team. And Doctor Strange will be like that mentor kind of level. Probably Ironheart. I don't know if She-Hulk, because she's not necessarily she's not young.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, don't forget. I mean, we're talking about there will be a Daredevil. We'll see how they integrate him, and maybe they'll if they're bringing in Daredevil, and they have
Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel could be a young Avenger.
Miss Marvel. Yep. I'm also curious about D'Onofrio, if they're going to bring him in, or was the ending of Hawkeye supposed to be the end of his character arc? I'm not sure. But
I think the whole thing with him losing his hearing is kind of an indication that he's probably not going to be, he's not going to be if he is going to be Hawkeye,
No. D'Onofrio, Kingpin.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Hawkeye. I thought you said the other.
Well, no, D'Onofrio.
No. D'Onofrio got shot by what do you call this? Echo. But the thing about it is, they did. But we heard the shot. We didn't see him die.
That's a misdirect. I'm calling it that.
Sure.
Unless you see somebody falling down, they're not shot.
Even when you do.
Yeah, exactly. And then
there were nanobots off screen.
Exactly. But no, a lot of potential down the line, and
Echo might be one.
Yeah,
Echo's already a series coming out.
That's already established. Jeez. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
It was established as a series before they could even say anything about it, because it would have spoiled her in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you feel about the character playing? The actor playing the character.
I love that. I think she's brilliant, great. And I love having, what's funny is I've only seen, this would be the third hearing challenge person I've seen in a feature role. The first one, and I'm going back in time, was it Children of a Lesser God, Logan?
May have been.
but I'm talking about a man.
What do you, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The actress.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
I mean, there have been more than that, just not
but
necessarily.
I'm like the with on a large, A list, if you will. And geez, I'm trying to think of the other one. Oh, the girl from A Quiet Place.
Oh.
And the woman who plays Echo. In my small universe, those are the three that jump to mind.
Is she really deaf, or was it or is it
Which one?
The actress?
Which one?
In Hawkeye?
Oh, in Hawk. Yeah, Echo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I thought you was just portraying someone who's deaf.
No, the one in Hawkeye, she's deaf and she's an amputee.
Yeah.
So when
Oh,
that's
so
her
both.
real leg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
Well-
And again, I would, and again, I'm not trying to make this a statement, but I think in this day and age, why wouldn't you? Because whether it's trans
Mhm.
roles or that's kind of Hollywood is acknowledging, yeah, you know what, we have deaf actors that can play roles of do that, or trans actors
Mhm.
trans people that could play certain roles, gay, definitely ethnic roles, so I think Hollywood's just saying, yeah, just hire somebody who fulfills that role.
Yeah.
Enough of this Scarlett Johansson stuff. I'm sorry, Scarlett, I know you watch our show. I'm just picking on you. It's all in good fun, but
We'll stop calling out Akira. It's okay.
oh jeez, yes, yeah. See, they made the right turn with Cowboy Bebop. Rest its soul.
I haven't. Really,
Sorry, I got to the third episode, and I really sorry, Julian. I can't sit through.
You know what? It's not. Let me put it this way. It's not the best adaptation of an anime to a live action, but it's one of the better ones. I'll say that. But there's not really. That's a low bar, so I can't really. To me, I guess I just appreciated it because I liked Cowboy Bebop so much, and they didn't completely screw it up. So I gave it a lot of credit for making it over the finish line.
yeah.
And not. And I think the only reason they could do that is because it was a series, and since it's based on a noir, there is kind of that slow burn, and I enjoyed it. It did not reach my level of suctitude that a lot of these other ones have. So,
Right.
anyway, guys,
Didn't have to do much to get that far, but
please, I mean, I again, what are we going to do? Dragon Ball Z. Attack on Titan.
We're not going to talk about Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Attack on Titan, Avatar the Waterbender. There's not a lot of competition. So, but anyway, guys, let's see here. I think we've done it all. It's been 2.5 hours. Our last show of the year, and what a show it's been! Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Go see it.
Go see it. 2 thumbs up.
Then go see it again.
You got to see it at least twice, and I know that especially with the times we're in, it's hard to go to crowded places. If you can, if you're boosted and everything, and you can see it in an audience while it's still in theaters, I highly recommend it. Only because that and Logan, you hit the nail on the head, catchphrase. That sense of reaction and community, and just everybody experiencing the same thing in a community. Or in a social gathering, it's so much better. You'll enjoy the storyline too, but it's something that's so fun to share with other people. So that's my 2 cents, guys. It's been an awesome year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
And a good one, at least in this small corner of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can only control so much, right?
Yes.
So
you can only control this universe.
Exactly. As long as we don't have any variants. Oh no, sorry.
Oh, you said it.
You
said it. You went there.
No, I was going like, okay, so I was reading Logan's text, and I thought it was going like, oh, Loki variant, that's funny, and I started thinking.
Yes, yeah, the variants.
Laugh or cry.
Is it,
Yeah,
is it
Right.
real?
it's so in the multiverse there are two different variants that have destroyed them.
Yeah.
All right, guys, again, it's been awesome. Happy 2022, everybody out there.
Happy
We
New
wanna-
Year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy New Year, everybody.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you so much for watching our shows, whether it's on the audio podcast, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram. Thank you so much for the comments and support you've given us over the couple of years we've been doing this. It means everything. And be sure to take care of each other. Take care of yourselves, of course. And as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.